Okay, on to Street Talk then. And yeah, like I said, there were some good points. There were some low points. It certainly didn't reach the highs of Paul's Death Week last week, did it? Which was
no.
quite good. This week there's going to be some talking points, I suppose, but it kind of hinges on how much you really enjoy seeing Swain saying, I'm going to take Joel down this time, hauling him into the station, him saying, you got nothing on me, I'm going to just walk out, and her going, curses. But at least by the end of today's episode, things had moved forward there, and he's been charged at least. I mean, you've been enjoying this story pretty much so far, haven't you? Or is it?
Well, we'll talk about it in a minute.
Okay, I think the tides are turning. So the Deering Hunter is what's going to start us off tonight. We've got a load of new storyline titles today, Joe. We're starting off with plastic surgery.
Plastic?
Plastic
surgery.
No, he's always like plastic, you idiot. Bethany's gone off to the land of cosmetic enhancements, Turkey. And I'm sure that everything's going to go totally fine there because we've not been looking at Coronation Street social media. Next, that's kind of segues into the sad breakup for Daisy and Ryan. I'm calling this storyline Pushing Daisy because he gave the old heave-ho in tonight's episode.
Great series.
Pushing Daisies is a very good... Everybody loved it for a while and then it ended
way
before its time. Was it a
strikes
casualty of the writers'
something?
strikes? Yeah. If you haven't seen Pushing Daisies, get
really
and watch
good.
it. It's great. Next up, we've got the It Is Now storyline. Which, as of course you'll remember, is
now
the Paul death storyline. I think it's Paul over It Is Now.
No, you can't just call it It Is Now.
No, it's fine. Look, when the funeral comes along, the storyline title's going to be called Paul Bearers, isn't it? It writes itself.
No.
Yes, it's very, very appropriate. Next up, you'll like this one. Dorin's Gorin. Dorin's Gorin. He's going back.
What?
Going back to Romania.
No.
Yeah, that's a good one. Segues into State with the Vape. There's a couple of storylines that start with...
I like State with a Vape.
You like State with a Vape? She's not even State anymore, she's Dobbs, but I thought it would work. And then we have got the retracing her steps, which is the best I could come up with. Stop laughing at my terrible ones and not appreciating the ones that are actually quite good.
Sorry.
Well, I'm sure I've got some gigglers out there at least. Definitely some eye rollers, I know, but...
Yeah, you be careful as
Take
you're driving.
Take the rough with the smooth
everybody.
with this podcast. Same when you're driving.
I just said that.
What?
Be careful when you're driving. You said same when you're driving.
Oh, I thought, no, oh, never mind. Never mind.
Play it back.
No, don't. I'm not listening to you. Gemma, can you...
I know you're not.
Can you do the
Yes,
can you
I
do the
will.
Joel story?
I'll do the Joel stuff, right?
I don't...
You guys know I love this story, but this week it pushed me to my limit. We've watched the same week over and over again, haven't we? Like,
it is a little bit Groundhog Day.
Dee-Dee's gapping his business.
Lauren's sad. She's just
hovering over the baby's crib. Really sad. It is really sad. We've seen it so much. Well, it's like in a holding pattern.
I think with Lauren, it's not just that we've seen her being miserable for weeks on end. It just falls into the exact same pattern of all these other Corrie women that have been miserable for years on end.
Well, the thing is about it also is Dee-Dee and Lisa.
Yes, that's what you've got to call her, Lisa, because she's being referred to as Lisa in all the dialogue now, just so that we know she is Lisa. Carry on. She
and Dee-Dee both have all these scenes where they're like, Joe, I know exactly how to get you, and I'm going to do it. Don't worry about that. And he's like, uh-oh. And then they try to get him, and he's like, no.
Yeah, well,
how many times, like... The empowering, like, it's supposed to be empowering and cool when they kind of give him a sexy smirk and they're like, we know something that was going to bring you down, and he's like squirming, and it keeps happening, and then they don't get him.
I know. Well, even that bit midweek this week where Lisa triumphantly announces to Dee-Dee, I think we've got enough to charge him now.
What,
Cut
again?
to the next scene, the interview, and him saying, you're going to charge me? And she's like, I can't charge you.
Why? It's really frustrating. It just feels like it's in a rut.
That is in a bit of a rut, but like we said, the fact that he's charged by the end of the week means that I guess it's going to be a bit more change. I just can't be dealing with all Laura. If you like young blonde girls getting sad, you probably were loving tonight's the whole of this week's Coronation Street.
Probably Coronation
Lauren,
Street for the past
Betsy,
5 years.
Summer.
You've been
who's the
it.
other one that's sad and blonde?
Lauren, Betsy...
Lauren, Betsy, Summer. There is another one, isn't there? I'm sure it'll come to us.
No, not Sabrina.
Not Sabrina. Definitely not blonde. Who are we thinking of?
Lauren?
Yeah.
Bethany.
Bethany, yes.
She's gone to Turkey, so she's out of it.
Yeah, but she was a bit miserable this week as well,
I'm sure she'll be happy when she comes back with her new whatever.
Article. She's writing a new article.
Yeah, that's right.
About what goes on over
air
there.
Fryers. I still want to read that air fryer.
Can you do turkey in an air fryer?
Oh yeah, you definitely can. You can't in our one though, because you lost the bloody bit, didn't you?
Oh yeah, I have lost a bit for air fryer. Right, Gemma, come on then. Let's remind. Look, we've got to be positive because we know that there are some big fans of this story out there, and
I was one of them.
Looking forward to us talking about it.
Everybody loves. Well, lots of people love the aren't they with Carla and Lisa, and that's not happening this week.
No,
that wasn't really. Didn't come into it.
No.
But one thing I am really missing at the moment. There's no one for Joel to menace or confide in. So you're not getting any of his perspective. You're just getting him sort of swanning into the police station, going, "Yeah, you'll never get me," and then going out again. It's just all falling very flat.
The one I will say though, what I will give this storyline credit for this week is we had a return of Ellie on Monday's episode, and she's a bloody good actress. That girl, isn't she?
She looked haunted, didn't she?
She was. We've seen her. What, she's been in 3, 4, 5 episodes or so far this year. I want to know more about Ellie.
Now,
I don't think we're going to see her again.
No,
possibly at all now, or at least once the storyline's over. But I thought she was a cracking young lass, that actress.
I would never want them to recast Hope, but if they ever really had to, I think she'd be a good shout.
Bit old.
Well, they're going to recast her. If they're going to recast her, they're going to recast her older, aren't they?
Yeah, I don't think they need to.
You don't know. No, I know. For goodness sake, listen to what I said at the beginning.
I know.
Right,
come on then.
On Monday, the action cam is there. Joel goes to the factory, and it looks like it's all going to kick off, but because it's all just nice ladies, really. There's not a fight. But it looks like there might be if it was all men, wouldn't it?
Oh yeah, we'd totally be wiping
all
the floor
men,
with each
yeah,
other.
yeah, always fighting. So Joel delivers Carla a letter of claim to start proceedings against her. And if you were thinking to yourself, like many scenes this week, what is this about? I've forgotten what this is about. This was because Carla was bad-mouthing him in Chariot Square Hotel when he was having a meeting. And she was saying he was a...
She hurt his feelings, so he's done a Rowan.
Yeah, that's right. So Kirk, Dee-Dee, Swain and Adam are all there, and Carla's I don't know.
She just comes out and takes the letter because they're trying to stop Joel from getting in to deliver this letter, and they're like, "You can't come near us." And Carla's like, "Whatever,
I don't care."
Yeah.
Swain tells Dee-Dee that Nikki is gonna get Ellie. So last week we saw Daniel put it together that Nikki, who is the cardigan wearing friend of his, knows the girl that might have a secret about Joel. Might have been the girl that he was. Yeah, it's so convoluted.
It just kind of seems to be, this. He could have remembered or thought about this any time. It's like, now's the time to remember this, and
Who's
the whole
he? Oh, Daniel,
and the whole case is solved this week because he's just remembered that maybe Ellie might have something that could be quite helpful for the case.
Blooming good job that Joel's got previous victims, really. Otherwise, they wouldn't have a leg to stand on, would they?
No.
Right, so Dee-Dee and Swain are planning what to say to Ellie, and Swain's like, "We'll do whatever it takes." And then in comes Ellie and Nikki. I don't know why Nikki was there.
No, it kind of felt
nice
like Kimberly Hart Simpson want to come back on the show again. They possibly could have done it without a return for her. Always nice to see a familiar face.
Back, yeah.
I mean, I suppose it adds a touch of realism to the fact that people don't just drop off the face of the earth. But I'm not going to say that her appearance in the show really added a whole lot to it.
It does make me think, like, maybe 20 years in the future, will we be doing a character profile of Nikki and be saying things like, she had a big stint and then she appeared sporadically, remember, when she was working?
Yeah. And now she's at the heart of the street, everybody's favourite character.
And now she's the landlady of the Rovers.
Yeah.
Dee-Dee tells Ellie about everything that Joel has done to Lauren, which is grooming her, beating her up, etc. And Ellie's like, yeah, I did that to me as well. She looks really nervous and haunted the whole time. I thought she was great. And Swain says, you're very brave. That's what the dentist said to me this week. As soon as Ellie hears they want her to make her statement official, though, she's like, no way, I can't do it, and she leaves. She shows up at the maternity unit, and she's not the only person this week who just rocks up there. They let
anybody in here.
Any sad-looking young girl gets let in immediately because she obviously has a baby in there somewhere.
I would have thought that the security might be a bit tighter at the maternity unit.
You would think so.
Yeah.
But what are you going to do if the crying girl turns up? Let her in. Just she might want one. Like that one's free. You can take that one.
Want a baby? Pick them up. They cheer you right up.
No,
apparently.
they don't. Right, so...
They're not if they were sick over your shoulder.
It depends on whether they hit your back or the floor.
Anyway.
So Ellie introduces herself to Lauren and says, I think Joel did the same thing to me as he did to you. And Lauren immediately is like, you have to tell everybody, you have to fess up, don't be afraid of Joel, we can just do it together. And Ellie says, no, I really can't, I just wanted to talk to you because we've both been through the same thing. And Lauren's like, no, I'm not having this. You listen to me here. Joel drugged me and he tried to kill me and my baby. Please reconsider about going official with this. Meanwhile, Dee-Dee and Swain are all... Lisa, Swain... I don't know what to call her, do you?
I think the name Swain is
kind of... just feels weird, doesn't it?
I think Lisa just sounds too weird when talking about her. That's why it really sticks out to me when everybody's calling her in the programme. She's been Swain for too long. Right,
so they're miserable about the fact they might have blown it with Ellie, but oh no, she's come back. So she comes back and she says, he made me sign an NDA, gave me £200. I'm going to go to prison because I shouldn't have said any of this stuff because of this legal document. And Dee-Dee says, don't worry about it. Joel's the one that's going down.
Well, they find out it's not just any old legal document. It is one that originated from Walcott Associates, which is Joel's old workplace. Very handy. Yep. He didn't try and get Lauren to sign one of these, did he?
No, he tries to try to kill her.
Yeah.
I think maybe he might reconsider next time. So anyway, Ellie's gone later and Swain's saying, they're just going to say that we told Ellie what to say. And Dee-Dee says, don't worry, I know what to do. So she goes to Walcott's and she meets this guy who's there at reception. And he's like, Lee, go away. You got me in so much trouble last time. Then
because he's the one that had given her
She
Joel's
gave her the details,
phone.
yeah. And so they could find these text messages between him and Ellie. So he's like, get out of here, you got me in trouble. The boss comes in and Dee-Dee's like, listen here, Buster. I know that you covered up this teenage sex scandal with Joel. So he's like, shut up, go in the office. So they go in the office and she's telling him all about everything she knows. And by covering it up and not helping her, this guy, Mr. Walcott, Professor Esquire at law, I guess. What do you call it when you're a lawyer man? He's complicit too. And she says to him, Ellie's willing to speak up about what happened and I'm going to drag you down with him if you don't cooperate. I want all the evidence. And I think the guy just says, no.
No, I think she does.
Well, I don't
remember.
Because
Dee-Dee brings back some stuff and Swain's like, good work, Dee-Dee.
Yeah, but then she's like...
We'll make a DC out of you before you know it. What?
We don't really need this. They don't talk about it again, do they?
No, I don't.
Well, she's like, oh, great, you've bought a load of paperwork. That's my favourite thing about being a police officer, looking at bits of paper. Great.
Dee-Dee's got a load of paperwork and she's like, I know someone who's really good at filing paperwork. Paul,
Oh, Michael.
Dad. He filed my best paperwork.
Oh. He knew the alphabet forwards and that was it because that's all you need.
She's getting herself a new flatmate by the end of this week, isn't she?
I know, don't let the grass grow under her, does she, that girl?
No.
Right, another chance meeting with Dee-Dee and Joel in the street, facing off. Oh my God. He's like, I've been unsuspended now at my firm because all the charges have been dropped against me.
This isn't the Walcott's firm, is it?
No, it's the
whoever
other
it is he works for now.
Swindler and dickface. Dee-Dee and Swain go to the hospital. This is German. It's an old German surname. They go to the hospital and give the good news to Lauren, I suppose. And Swain says, oh, my bosses have let me start investigating again. And Dee-Dee says, this is the beginning of the end of Joel Dorin.
Yeah,
and everyone...
That's what happened.
There are lots of people who are like, good. Good.
I mean, she's not lying.
I wasn't there. I was like, no.
She's not lying. By the
That's
end of the
why.
week, things had changed, but a lot of...
There's
just
so
a lot
much
of this
chat
just felt
that
like, just get on with
crap.
it.
Like, cut out all that stuff about her going, I'd take out all the Walcott stuff.
Yeah, it
just
just doesn't
silly,
feel
boring.
needed, did it?
No, she got a load of paperwork out of it. They did get the lead for Ellie, but I just kind of feel like Daniel knew that Ellie existed.
Did all the paperwork mean
know.
that Swain could reopen the investigation again?
I don't know.
And, you know, would the storyline have made much difference if the case had never been closed?
I know.
Apart from
it's such a stupid cliche.
We've got a few scenes in the last few weeks with Swain going, I'm going to do it even though Costello doesn't let me because I'm a renegade cop.
Such a cliche name for a policeman, isn't it? Like, listen here, Swain. No, you listen here, Costello. I'm gonna do justice. I don't care what you say.
It just kind of feels to me like they're stringing it out to
Yes,
get
they
to
really
Super
are.
Soap
It
Week.
feels-
It's like
yeah.
we just
They
need to
don't have
pad
enough
it a little
story.
bit more.
We don't have enough story to
And
fill
we've got
this-
about... And how many characters does this storyline have? 4, 5? It's like, how many different combinations of characters can we put together saying the same thing?
Just imagine Costello in the break room with Kit, and he's going, yeah, what I do, right? I mess with her. I go, 1 week I go, you're off the case, Swain. And then she gets upset. And then next week I'm like, fine, I'll let you reopen the case. And then she gets all happy again.
Just, to keep himself
Just
entertained.
like messing with her, to be honest. His job's really boring.
What was going on with Kit this week? Like, he had been very, very absent since Paul's death, hadn't he? He wasn't even there for the death episode. And we got him in one scene in number 5 later today. And then there was a scene, I think, in the police station where Lisa says to him, hey, guess what? We've got some evidence on Joel. But yeah, he seemed like he was only there to make up the numbers, really, this week.
Yep.
A bit like Mary. She appeared in a couple of scenes this week. One with some glowing shoes, which I'm sure you can imagine what I thought about that.
Well, we're not talking about Mary. We're talking about Swain and Lauren and Max. Where's Bobby? I think...
Don't say it!
If you say his name 3 times...
Yeah, especially during Beetlejuice season. We all know.
Now, I am starting to think that maybe Joel has killed Bobby and nobody has noticed. Which I think is really sad. And it does prove, you know what they say about a young, blonde, good-looking, white victim?
What?
They're much more exciting, aren't they?
Yeah, it is. I mean, obviously, I'm not complaining, but Bobby is very notable by his absence throughout the whole of this, considering how much he was limpet boy to Lauren back earlier on this year.
I think he heard us saying he's not going to get a day out of it and he's just given up. But I will say, what a mistreated character, and I feel really badly for the actor. If he's not in it because of the reaction, I think it's on Corrie for handling it really badly.
I don't think so. I just don't think he's needed. I mean, he's never been particularly needed, but now they've realised.
He shouldn't have been such an integral part of this story. There were just too many new people in this storyline.
Yeah.
And
Max
really
is Lauren's
bungled.
confidant, and he's all that she really needs.
We didn't need Bobby.
No.
Right, so on Wednesday, Max...
I think probably if Bobby had been there as well, they wouldn't have been able to help themselves but put a bit of romantic tension or like, you know, Max versus Bobby, and no, I'm Lauren's best friend and I'm gonna be the one that takes her home, and that would have diluted and stretched out the story even more.
Well, that's what they
want,
isn't it?
Yeah, it would have been, but I'm just...
They're like, no, cut Bobby so we can have more scenes of Costello telling Swain that she's off the case. Right, so on Wednesday...
That's, you know, considering we didn't even see Costello this week, he's making an awful lot of appearances.
It's my favourite surname we've had for ages on Coronation Street.
I still say Spellman is my favourite.
Spellman's great.
Coronation Street surname at the moment. Summer Spellman is an iconic Coronation Street name.
Yeah, shame about the character.
So wasted on the character. Although she's not so bad.
She's okay.
I'm not as down on Summer as I was, say, 2 years ago. It's just the overuse of certain characters can be draining, can't it? There's nothing inherently wrong with Summer, but when you got a year where she's just fainting all over the place for 12 months, you can get tired of her, and this is what we're feeling with. That's what I'm feeling with Lauren. I know that Lauren had many months where she didn't appear this year, but I just feeling like it's the Lauren show, and I'm almost kind of getting there with Dee-Dee. I'm not as mega fan of Dee-Dee anymore. I like her, but I think the shine has gone off a little bit. But I'm sure it'll reset itself once they give her a bit of a breather.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you're saying, oh, I didn't like Summer when she kept fainting all the time, and we're saying,
that.
And we're saying,
Thanks for listening.
We're saying, oh, I didn't like this story because this same thing keeps happening over and over again. I do think the writers seem to go, oh, I've just had a great idea. Why don't we have Swain being told she's off the case and Dee-Dee uncovers some new evidence and then she can bring Joel in for questioning. And then the other writer goes, do you know what? That's a good idea, but do you know what would be even better? If we did it twice. And then another one goes, do you know what would be even better than that? If we did it 3 times.
Yeah.
And then we can go home early. Now, I know that's not what happened, but it's starting to feel that way.
I mean, that's not the biggest kind of, I'm going to say, poor execution of plot this week in this story. That was Wednesday, and the sheer and utter confusion surrounding Betsy's secret.
Look, I don't blame anybody for trying to tell a story in a different way. And I think it can be really hard to take a step outside of your bubble and see how's this going to be taken to. And I also don't really want them to dumb down the show because they think we're all too thick to understand what's going on. But I did feel like on Wednesday we collectively just derped our way through this story and not understanding what they were trying to tell us, because all the way through the episode, Betsy had a secret, and we, as viewers, I think universally, weren't sure whether we were supposed to know what her secret was or if it was a new revelation. And I think that...
Well, Betsy does have the secret that she's responsible for Mason being behind bars at the moment because of the bag stealing.
It was really hard to know what was going on.
But then it could have been something else. Yeah,
because Betsy's mysterious anyway. So and she's up to no good, and she's a liar. So when she was saying all this stuff about, I've done something bad, it's like, well, what, yeah, you have, but what specifically?
I honestly thought that I'd forgotten something.
Yeah, me too.
Which happens particularly. I forget things at the best of times. I'm getting old a bit. My memory's not what it once was. Need some fish oil. But when the story is not gripping me, there's an even greater chance that I'm not going to remember all the fine details. So yeah, I went through Wednesday's episode going, what is she talking about? But at least I'm glad I can confidently say that we were not alone in this. Because I was asking you, I don't know. But ever since then, the Twitter, Reddit, Facebook has all been awash with people saying, what was Betsy's involvement in this? Did we know about this? So clearly, it's not just us, and it didn't work. That's the official verdict of the Corrie watching community. So I know some of you listening will think it was fine, but
they took a risk and it didn't work. I'd rather they took a risk than didn't. Otherwise, it would just be boring.
Yeah.
But it was validating that everyone else was going, what's happening?
It really was.
Right, so on Wednesday, Max goes to see Lauren in the hospital. He's heard about the police reopening the investigation because Swain's walking down the road going, I'm on the case again!
It's been...
Tinker, get out here, I need some help with this paperwork!
It's been Costello-opened.
No.
Tinker's not been in it this week, has he? They've probably not told him it's been opened because Swain's like, I'm so close to nailing Joel. If Craig gets a whiff of the fact that the case is open again, he could just come in and ruin it.
Start chatting.
He's going to start, chatting all the secrets.
Joel,
run.
Joel, come here. They've opened the case again. Shh. Don't tell anybody. I'm telling you because you're your own lawyer. Right, so he tells her about Ellie and says, let's go out for a meal. Also, Lauren's like an AI computer that can only answer the same thing to certain questions. If you say Joel, she'll go, I knew you'd get away with it. If you say Frankie, she goes, oh, poor Frankie, I hope he doesn't die. And if you say, come out of the hospital for 5 minutes, she goes, I can't, I've got to stay here for Frankie.
She is, it's not too dissimilar from what we're seeing on Classic with Shelley trapping herself in the Rovers upstairs now, back in 2005. But another tragic blonde.
They love them.
They do. It's a perennial issue.
Well, she hesitantly goes, and then she spends the whole time moaning.
Yeah, wolfing down her. Well, he only took her to the cafe, didn't he?
I know. Well, he's not got bistro money, Right. So meanwhile, Swain and Dee-Dee are in the flat looking through the files. Yeah.
the Walcott's files. They're feeling pretty confident with the dirt that they've got on Joel, haven't they?
But she's also had a delivery of wedding favours she forgot about, and she's feeling wistful about the wedding.
Little boxes that say
what was in there.
Dee-Dee and I can't remember what they said.
It's always bloody sugared almonds. You don't hear a word about sugared almonds till you get married. Then you can't move for people trying to sell you sugared almonds.
Did we have wedding favours?
Yeah,
did we have anything?
Yes, we did.
What did we have?
Do you not remember what we had?
No. I really don't. What did we have?
We had a bunch of cookies. We went to Millie's Cookies.
Oh, yes, we did.
Yeah,
yes.
we're trying to...
Little bags of cookies. That's better,
Well,
isn't
no,
it?
it wasn't bags. We bought a load of cookies. I was like, why should we buy sugared almonds? We just go to Millie's Cookies, ask them to do a deal, get like 100 cookies.
Well, there we go.
And get little bags. And...
Little insight behind the scenes here at Conversation Street there.
Yeah. What fun we had. Right.
Where are we?
Probably didn't even
Sabrina is back next.
Yes.
For the first time in months.
She runs into Betsy at the precinct. She tries to go the other way, but sad. She's seen her. She catches up with her and all the Joel goings on, and she keeps going on about how she's messed up, and we don't really know what she's referring to at this point.
Betsy, yeah.
In the cafe, Max tells Lauren they should go to a festival or something, and she says, "No, I can't. I've got a baby." And he also nominates himself as Frankie's honorary uncle. And Lauren's very touched, and then she gets a call from the hospital. Something's wrong with Frankie. Rush back. He's had a seizure. He's got a cranial ultrasound, and there may have been a bleed or some infection. And she's just absolutely devastated. Poor girl. She's only got Frankie, really, and now I can't imagine. This must be awful. She's pacing around, and she's like, "This is all Joel's fault."
Were you kind of in any way thinking this could actually be the end of Frankie?
No.
Did you? I was partially wondering.
If they kill Frankie off, I will be just really shocked.
There was a tiny little part of me that was thinking, "Oh, that would be quite good for the plot, wouldn't it?" We're not a bit. Well, it would up the stakes, wouldn't it? If Joel has actually killed this kid...
That's true.
I don't have a strong attachment to Frankie at the moment. I'm cutthroat here. I'm Brian Park in it. If Frankie needs to die to make the plot more interesting, then I could be convinced that wouldn't be a bad idea. And for Betsy as well.
For Betsy as well, yeah.
Yeah, Betsy's involved in it as well.
The thing is about this, with Joel, all the way through this... I am just thinking to myself, so what in the end? At the end of all this, I know it's very inconvenient to train your whole... Well, he's not that old, but to train your whole life to be something or other. Then, these meddling kids come along and suddenly you've been disbarred and you're in prison for what? But you're not going to be in prison forever, are you? It's not going to be a massively long sentence. So,
that's all right then.
No, I'm talking about... What do you mean? In Coronation Street, a villain... You have to get rid of the villain, right?
Yeah.
Otherwise they'll just come back. That's my point.
Oh.
Do you not see what I'm saying here? If he gets... what sentence is he going to get for it? A year? He'll be back in a year then.
I don't know. Do you reckon?
Exactly. But what I'm saying, I don't know, do I? 5 years? You know what happens in Coronation Street. They just get out anyway. But my point is, if he has a heftier charge... then maybe he will be put away for longer. Because at the moment, nobody's considering him still for anything he's done to bloody Lauren.
No, that's going to be supplemental at the end.
I just hope that... I don't want the baby to die, but it would certainly add to the charges, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Right? And then if you add on... If, say, the floodgates open and then he gets all the other stuff that he's actually done... Could they just put him in prison and that's the end we see of Joel? Or is he going to get killed off? That's my question.
I'm not particularly expecting to re-see Joel again once he's finally banged up. I know we have done with a few others, like Harvey. He keeps popping up every now and then, doesn't he?
Yeah, but the thing is, though, Coronation Street, I think, needs to learn not to kill off villains because they are very useful. Otherwise, you have to build up this whole... new character and why they hate so-and-so and what they're doing. They just come with... A returning villain comes with all this story attached to them and motivation. So...
You've just got to be careful with... Villains don't have to be murderers or, child-exploiting groomers or...
Yes, they do.
Or anything like that. Because once you've gone up there, then you do have a shelf life.
Yeah, I know, but
just make them meddlers. Slight meddlers.
That's not a villain though, is it? That's an antagonist. Anyway, I just think this just circling the drain at the moment. Like, it's all just really. It just feels really technical, whereas I think Corrie villain should be a lot more visceral and obvious than this. It shouldn't be like, I've got a bit of paper here that says that you had a text message. And you said you weren't doing a text message, so you definitely did the crime. Well, like, I want somebody standing over somebody with a bloody hammer, you know?
Yeah, no, totally. That look, what we've been saying for weeks, that this is far, far too policey.
Isn't that...
I think that's possibly one of my biggest gripes with this story, that it's just too policey.
Is this all just heading, which I hope it is, to a physical confrontation with Dee-Dee, Swain and Joel, where one or the other is in mortal peril and the other one rescues her and then pushes Joel off a cliff? It's got to end like that. Or he's going to go to prison and come back next year.
I mean, he is the big bad of the year. I still prefer Rowan as a villain this year, but he's had a bit of a whimper of an exit, even though I'm expecting to see him again. I think that, Joel is the Stephen Reed of 2024, so it would be a shame if all that happened to him was, now he's been charged, he's sent down, and that's the end of it.
No, but then he can come back. A bit more than that. If they're not gonna kill somebody off, it should be,
But have some kind of big climax, but just.
Yeah, but if you're not gonna kill him, at least bring him back.
No, I don't need to bring him back.
Well, I
really don't.
Well, I'm sorry, but I'm in charge and I say yes.
If we bring him back, it means that there's going to be more tragic teenage girls for him to terrorise, and I'm just not into seeing that in Corrie. Not anymore.
Right,
I've had my fill.
I've had enough of it. So, Swain notices that the bistro van has a dash cam.
Oh, yes.
Which apparently continuously runs forever, no matter if the car is on or not, which I don't know if that's right.
I don't know how dash cams
don't really
work.
Care. Dee-Dee remembers that
I'd be a bit worried if I was Dee-Dee. Like, every time I come to the front door, I'm being spied on by Nick.
Yeah, Nick's there in the in the back room going, oh no, they've rumbled me.
Maybe like when she comes to get her milk in the morning with her dressing. Tell you what, if Dee-Dee... Did you see that top that she was wearing on Monday? That was very clavacious. We got an awful lot to ogle at on Monday's episode.
I definitely saw...
If that's Nick with his camera, yeah, cool blimey. If she's there in her dressing gown in the morning, he'd probably get a proper eyeful. He's not getting it from Leanne anymore, is he? Or Toya.
He probably only bought it on Wednesday because he saw what she was wearing on Monday.
Yeah.
So I'm not missing out again.
Yeah, obviously not, because there does turn out to be footage of the delivery.
That there is... Dee-Dee remembers that Joel had a delivery, and she says... Swain says, I've got this SD card.
It's like, I've just remembered, just like we've had last week, Daniel. Oh, there's Ellie, isn't there? Let's bring her in now. It's about time. This week it's like, oh yeah.
But what would
I do remember Joel had a delivery. Now's the perfect time for me to remember this.
Okay, well, how else would you do it?
I don't really know.
Okay.
I'm not sure.
Calm down,
it's just conveniently timed rememberings this
but
week. Just because it's like, we need to bring this story to a conclusion now. Super Soap Week's coming up. We are in September,
Right, okay, Michael.
Sorry.
Right, so they I got the SD card. Here's the video of the delivery. Oh, this is the name of the company. For some reason, this company has its own delivery vans.
Who are the company who are happy
It's a private pharmacy.
How are happy to give private pharmacy abortion drugs.
This private pharmacy is like the dodgiest company in all of Weatherfield. They've got their own van, which I assume is like full of kidnapped children in the back. They give out abortion pills to people, and they also don't mind having a recording of a girl who's clearly being coerced by an adult man, which you'll find out on Friday. This girl is on the phone going, hello, yeah, please, can I have an abortion pill? And you can hear a man going, yeah, make sure you get the good one. Make sure you get the really strong one.
Just use the name E. Smith.
Yeah, and the guy on the other end of the phone is like, this is fine, I'm not asking questions.
Yeah.
I'm not the police. Right, so anyway... That's
Swain's
for later.
Working very fast on Wednesday as well, because sooner has she seen the Vistro van and just happened to notice the dash cam, that she's managed to get the SD card from it. And...
They've looked at the video footage, they found the company, she phones them up, she gets the information, she goes to the station, she looks through her files and she goes, I'm going to get Joel arrested. Meanwhile, we get the test results for Frankie back, and he has suffered a bleed on the brain, but they're not saying, how is this going to turn out?
Yeah, just got to string on the worry for a little bit longer just to get a bit more lip wobbling from Lauren.
So Swain interviews Joel, and he's like, "You're harassing me," and they say, "We've got evidence that you got those drugs delivered."
Yeah, because we see in the cam, you see the van pulling up to the van, but you don't see who's. So you see the van pulling up to the house, yeah, but you don't see who accepts the parcel, do you?
You don't know anything. You just see a van that's got a pharmacy written on the side of it. They don't really have any. I don't think they've got evidence. I don't know, but she also tells him, Frankie's gravely ill, and if he dies and we link you to the drugs that induced his early birth, you could end up being up for a murder charge.
Yeah, Joel didn't know this before, did he?
No, Joel
she
just looks a bit upset, but it's difficult to tell whether he's upset because he doesn't want Frankie to die anymore, or if he's worried about killing a baby.
I think he's probably more worried for himself at the moment, yeah.
Well, he says, "Look, so this is all speculation. You've got no evidence, so charge me or not. Bye." And Swain's like, "Damn, he's good." Betsy and Sabrina are in the cafe later, and Sabrina mysteriously remarks, "If people find out what you did, you're going to be sent down, Betsy." And everyone's going, "What? For what? What happens now?" Later on, Lauren's getting even more stressed out. Then Joel turns up to make things worse and tells her that they need to talk. And then they have an argument, and a doctor walks in on him telling her that she has tried to kill his son. And this doctor or nurse or whoever she is, she's great. She's like, "Who's this bloke? You don't want him in there? Get out or I'll call security."
I know. And
she was half his size.
Oh, yeah, I was going to say.
So he agrees, but says, don't leave Frankie alone with her because she's a murderer. Or attempted one. Swain treats Betsy to a meal at the bistro because there's not enough moody blondes having sad times. Let's double it. They're both just picking at their olives.
Well, because Betsy's harbouring this deep, dark secret, isn't she? Which she's just about to reveal to Mummy Dearest when Max comes along and says, "Oh my gosh, you'll never guess what. Frankie's really poorly and it's something to do with Joel and he's in trouble." And we find out that he got pills and Betsy's like,
"What?
There's somewhere I need to be."
So she leaves to go and see a mate. So she then sits in the precinct and she kind of insinuates, but not very clearly, that it's her that's ordered these pills. And Sabrina says, you have to tell your mum. And Betsy says, "I'm too scared." And Sabrina says, "If that baby dies, are you a murderer?" So
this was the big moment where we're like, oh,
yeah. Yes. It was weird. It's one of those things where all of these people were characters, so you should have seen this happen. I think when you watch characters all the time and they kind of get revealed to have done something without you watching them, it's always a bit confusing because you kind of think that you're seeing all of the significant moments.
Yeah, like you say, it's not a bad storyline technique at all.
I think it could have worked.
Spring a surprise twist on you.
I don't
this
really
happened
know
and this has been planned all along.
Why it didn't work. I think maybe it was because Betsy is just a weird liar character, unreliable person that you really don't know what it is that she thinks she's done half the time. So
but I think as well the storylines just had so many little paths it's gone down and so many twists and revelations and cornerings of Joel.
Yeah, normally
you would certainly not be forgiven. You would be forgiven, for forgetting some of the details.
One of the things I don't like about the story is it doesn't feel like you could play along and sort of guess or be involved.
There's no way that anyone would have gone, "Oh, what if Betsy's helped him with the pills?"
What if
there were
Swain
no clues.
finds a dash cam that handily pointed and showed the pharmacy logo on the side of the van, like it's an Argos van for drugs. There was no way for you to have known that information was ever going to be available, which is what makes police procedurals and crime stories interesting. All the way back to the tradition of like Agatha Christie's and things. The idea of these stories is that they're littered with clues that you're invited to put together to solve the mystery yourself. or follow the crumbs and see whether the police officer can find enough evidence to get the criminal. But here, it just seems to be... it is made up as it goes along, and it kind of shows.
But this clearly wasn't. This must have always been the plan.
It's all made up as it goes along. That's the point.
This was always the plan, that it was
fictional.
going to be Betsy, but they didn't drop any clues that we can go back to.
Nobody was going, I guessed it. And I guess sometimes Corrie maybe gets annoyed about people guessing stuff, but I don't think that's a good way to approach it, because that's what they want. They want engagement. They want people talking about it, and unless there's something to talk about, the only thing people were saying on Wednesday was what happened there.
Maybe this was just Coronation Street's attempt to get people talking about the show once it's finished. So it's like, we're not going to explain it this week. You can work it out for yourself.
Yourself. You're so bloody clever, you bunch of nerds. Right. Anyway, at the end of Wednesday, because this is taking further, Michael, Lauren's being told things are on the up
for Frankie,
and then she sees Betsy there.
Betsy.
And Lauren's like, up. "What the hell are you doing here?
Who are you?
Is this a mirror?" And she says, "It's not me, Kelly," and runs away. I do wonder whether any of this was in a long-term plan.
Yeah, we've said that.
I know. All right. On Friday, Lauren and Max are in the hospital because I think there are not enough scenes about Lauren being in the hospital with the baby.
And Max.
Because I wasn't really sure whether she cares if Frankie lives or dies until Friday's episode began, and then I realised that she's actually quite upset about it. So she says to him, "This mysterious girl turned up yesterday. I thought she was the ghost of Christmas past, but maybe you might know her. She looked like this." And Max goes,
"Is it Kelly? Is it Bethany?
Is it Bethany?
Is it Becky Granger? Is it Summer Spellman? Is
it Bet Lynch in her early days?" No, it's Betsy Swain. So live and breathe. And he says, she was acting weird yesterday. I don't know what she was, rocking back and forward and saying, "It's all my fault. It's all my fault. I think I killed Frankie." I did wonder. So they go to the factory, wait for Betsy to arrive at work, and then they have confrontation. And Lauren, ever the shrinking Violet, asks her, confronts her and says, "What are you doing? What do you care? What is it to you? How my son is?" Gets in her face, and Carla comes out and gets annoyed and tells him to leave. And gets Betsy inside. Then Dee-Dee finds Lauren at the bus stop later, waiting for the bus to get back to the hospital. And Lauren tells her the social worker's going to come. And she's like, "I don't know what I'm doing. I'm out of depth. I don't know what's going to happen." And so Dee-Dee says, "I don't have a job anymore. I'm going to spend some time helping you out."
Yeah.
Carla finds...
We've not seen Dee-Dee doing any
No, because
work.
Adam told her that she's
you're right. She is
with
suspended.
pay.
That's why she didn't have her lawyer's outfit on. She had that lovely
She had the nice
green and pink
cardigan.
number, yeah.
So Carla's trying to get out of Betsy what's going on. Is it Joel? And Betsy says, "Look, if I tell you what happened, you're going to hate me. Everyone's going to hate me. I didn't mean to, but I did. And Lauren's baby could have died because of me." And then Carla calls Swain and gets Betsy to tell her what happened. And she says, "Who's this? Joel did it." Right.
You gotta pretend you're not reading notes.
Betsy says, I think Frankie's poorly. I went to go and see him. Joel did it. He's the one who hurt him, and he got me to help him.
Yes.
Joel, and then we find out Joel made her ring up the health clinic and pretend she wanted an abortion so she could get the drugs. And he said it was for a client of his.
Yes, she was tricked. I can't remember at the time this happened what the relationship was between Betsy and Joel, because I'm also kind of thinking, why would she go along with this? I thought that she had him by the short and curlies round this time, and she was blackmailing that money.
She was blackmailing him. They always had an antagonistic relationship, didn't they? So why would he come to her and go, "Listen, kid, I need your help"?
Yeah,
and why wouldn't she say, "Do you not have any female friends that could do this who might be more suitable?" Well, I guess she's a kid, so she's not.
Well, also,
really...
she knows that he's dodgy, so why would she not be suspicious that he's trying to trick her? Like, it's clearly not. Well,
sometimes people being stupid isn't a plot hole, but in this situation, there's a lot of questions here that don't make any sense.
Well, especially the fact that Betsy was able to will get Joel round her little finger quite so quickly.
Also,
I thought that she wouldn't fall for this.
I really don't understand why she phoned them up and why he got her to do it.
You can just buy it online in a few clicks, can't you?
You honestly can buy things like this online, and you don't need to really. I don't know. Do you have to? You don't have to put any information in. You just have to put your name and address in. He put a fake name. All he would have to do is open one of these, dodgy. Well, not dodgy, but there's loads of online banking things that you can open, can't you?
Yeah, just get a Revolut account.
As long as it's a Visa card that has money in it, nobody's going to care. I don't recall the last time any teenage girls ever phoned anybody willingly without, if there's a way of doing it online.
Yeah.
This doesn't make any sense. And if his whole idea was to kind of cover his tracks and make sure that nobody knew it was him, standing next to the phone and shouting into it,
he should be smarter than that.
So stupid.
He really should be. And
when
he was being played the tape later, he was still saying, well, there's nothing here, but surely he must have remembered, I'm about to say something now.
I know.
But I don't know. He made a stupid
understand
mistake
why he
here.
couldn't have phoned them himself.
Hello! My name's Joella.
I need a lady pill. Right, that's enough.
think I'm with child.
See, yeah, I'm convinced.
Yeah.
I'll send you whatever you want. Okay, so we okay, you got to just deal with this, haven't you? This is what happened. So
if Joel Dorin has got a child, well, he has, hasn't he? It's a little fawn. The fawn of Satan.
Great.
Is that a storyline title?
The fawn of Satan. Oh dear. Right. Okay. So.
Yes.
Swain's not mad at Betsy. She's like, Joel tricked you. I would be mad at her at this point. It's like, how many times are you going to crop up in this case doing something that you shouldn't have done?
So embarrassed. All the people are talking about me around the water cooler at work. And we've got a water cooler room now.
What have I taught you? Nothing, obviously. But
I'm sure it will bring them closer together.
You have to come to the station with me. So they go to the station. She tells Kit they've had a breakthrough.
Kit says, I don't care. I'm not really in this story this week, but thanks anyway.
I'm just here because I'm in the other storyline, to be honest with you. So Dee-Dee and Lauren meet the social worker at the hospital. And Swain goes to Joel's flat and arrests him. Very smugly. I don't understand why she hasn't learned that pride comes before a fall. How many times has she smugly told him that they're going to bring him down, and he's like, "You're not there, are you? You're not going to."
It's pretty solid evidence she's got by this point, but yeah, you're absolutely right. She shouldn't count her eggs.
No. So
chickens. What don't you count?
Don't catch the chickens before they're hatched. Don't.
Yeah,
count.
that's it.
Yeah.
So
right, the social worker. We'll do that bit first. She tells Lauren that she can't just take Frankie home when he's healthy because she's under investigation. I don't understand how two people can be under investigation for the same thing. But I guess they're two completely different entities, so they don't really care what the other one's doing.
Well, he's still innocent until proven guilty here, isn't he? And so if he's still innocent, then technically there could be the guilty person still out there.
Just feels very unjust that two people can be in trouble for the same crime.
Again, Nathan is still in prison at the moment.
Nathan's in prison again, nobody cares. Why? Okay, so she says you're going to have to go in to live in a foster home, and unfortunately Wendy Papadopoulos isn't in it anymore, so you're probably going to be off screen.
To go and live with Wendy.
You're going to have to live
Nudge Alfie out
for 6 months until and be monitored. And Lauren's like, "Oh, I don't like that idea.
What about independence?"
So the social worker goes, and Lauren just looks tragic and says, "Oh, I can lose Frankie. I'm fed up with this. I don't want people telling me what to do and controlling my life." I completely understand this. Imagine how awful. Like, what's she supposed to do? She says, "I want a normal family and a home," which I think what a simple thing to wish for, but how many people never get that? So, Dee-Dee's like, "Live with me." Oh, I wish I hadn't said that. So that's probably what's going to happen.
I'm sure it will.
Well, where is she living now?
I don't know.
Lauren.
I thought that she's just gone away somewhere.
Oh, she was living in that new mum's home.
Yeah, that's it. It feels like she's living at the hospital.
Yeah. So
you'd be forgiven for thinking that she
right.
was. What's going on with
Swain's,
this
what?
tape at the police station then?
What tape?
The tape of the recording.
I was just about to tell you, but you've just derailed it. I was just getting to it.
All right.
Joel is sitting there again with Swain, again looking smug, and she tells him that we've got evidence against you. And he says, well, Betsy's... Well, if he'd said Betsy's line, it would have given it away a little bit because she hasn't revealed who it is yet.
I like how he said that I'm getting deja vu sitting here because I know how you feel, Joel.
I know. I wonder how many scenes he's had doing that. Right, so Swain gets out this recording of the phone call. She says, we've got evidence of you procuring the drugs that induced Frankie's birth, right? Not only that, we've got the recording of you being an absolute donut on the other end of the phone, interrupting Betsy trying to order these drugs. And he listens to this, which is quite funny, really, because Joel's going, tell them to deliver it to my girlfriend.
15 Coronation Street.
Idiot. Joel's like, okay, it wasn't me. And then he says, however, I was put into a difficult position by the woman on the recording. And then he basically says that it's Betsy. Betsy was pregnant.
Yeah, but Betsy doesn't get named, does she?
No.
They all know who we're talking about here,
Yeah.
but they don't mention her.
And they
for
don't.
legal reasons.
They don't say that Betsy is Swain's daughter here, but I think everybody knows that he knows, and she knows that he knows, etc. So he's insinuating Betsy was pregnant.
Was
but
this
couldn't
around the
tell,
time that she was dating Mason? Is that why we had that little plot point there?
Couldn't tell her mother, and couldn't get an abortion, so he was just trying to help her out.
By getting some of these special pills.
By getting her to order her own abortion pills, which
Yeah.
is so helpful. And Swain's like, you do know that we can test to see if she was ever pregnant or not, right? Which I don't know if that's a bit of a can of worms you might not want to know. And so Joel says that CPS have agreed.
No, Swain says that...
What did I say?
You said Joel says.
Swain says to Joel, CPS have agreed, we can charge you, and I'm going to make it stick.
This was the weirdest advert break. Did anyone else think that? She's like, well, you can go on bail, but if you break your conditions... Like, what's she going to say? I'll kick you in the balls. But we didn't even get to see any of that because he just gets let out later and he has a run-in with Dee-Dee. So...
Right, so Swain tells Betsy and Carla Joel's being charged, and they all have a hug. And at the hospital, this was lovely. Lauren gets told she can hold Frankie for the first time, which it did come out of the blue a little bit. I thought, surely they would build up to this.
Well, this was another bit where I thought that it could have taken an interesting twist because Max and Lauren appear at the door of the baby unit.
Yeah, and I thought Joel was going to be there.
Well, yeah, you said Joel's going to be there, and then they're looking through the little window, little porthole, and the nurse is there putting her hand inside Frankie's incubator, and they both get the idea, Max and Lauren, oh my gosh, something's happened to Frankie. And I was like, oh, are they going to come back being all triumphant, but then Frankie's dead? But no, it's just like, he's ready to be held now.
Just poking him. That's what we do. We just poke them. Yeah, she can hold him for the first time.
So she does.
And it was very sweet.
Yeah.
And there's a very beautiful picture of her smiling, which is...
It's a rarity.
It really does transform her face. It's like, who's that? Oh, Lauren's smiling. Right, Joel has to surrender his passport, doesn't he? Mm-hmm. And he starts packing a holdall, but then he's like, oh, if I can't go to Paris, I'm not going anywhere. So he gives up.
Well, yeah, he was going to do a runner, wasn't he, it looks like. But then he changed his mind because he realised he's already in bad enough trouble.
Right, so Dee-Dee comes visiting to Lauren and tells her Joel's been charged, and so far it's just the drugs, but more will follow.
To be continued. Oh, is it nearly over? I'm sorry for all the people that love this storyline, but it is going on a bit, isn't it? It is just a tad. I've got nothing else to say about it.
We've
it was
talked about it all the way through.
Performances were fine, a few interesting twists. But yeah, it's just kind of left me a little bit cold. Should we just move on to the next story? Should we find out about what's going on with old Bethany and her plastic surgery? Stick surgery, I mean. New story at least, which it feels a little while since we've had a new story starting up on Coronation Street, so it had that going for it. Bethany mileage may vary on how much you can tolerate her, but she's disappeared off to Turkey for a little bit by the end of the week, and this all starts off with Debbie finding her in the pub with a slightly bonkers but exciting proposal. How would you fancy going to Turkey for me. So
this drove me mad.
why?
All the way through, because I was like, to do what?
So I'm not. So she's going to meet the CEO of a plastic surgery company or something like that, and they want a journalist to go out there for a week because another one's had to pull out, and they just want her to write about what's going on and what they do there. And
Now, I've done press trips where I've gone somewhere, it's all been paid for, and I have to write about something, but it's because I work for a magazine, and therefore the piece is going to be placed in the magazine. So I was listening to this going, this doesn't make any sense because she doesn't have a publication. She's a freelancer. It wouldn't be the company that would be employing her. It would be the editor of a publication. But then later on, it turns out she's writing an advertorial, which you can't write unless you work for a magazine. So really, she's just gone there to do some PR or copywriting. They didn't really explain this. They said about 5 different things. And it's not like this is a really difficult thing for people to understand or something that couldn't be explained very simply, but they just kind of like hashed around it, and it was really winding me up.
Well, Bethany's tempted by this, but she has promised herself already that she wouldn't do any promotional pieces because she wants to be a #serious journalist. But, you know,
whatever.
When the wolves come knocking at your door, sometimes you got to...
Wolves don't knock.
Scratch it.
They just eat your face off.
So Bethany tells Daniel about this.
Bethany is so... I hate her so much now. She's so arrogant. She thinks she's so much better than everybody else.
I know.
And then, like, what was she... Like, I still keep going on. I know I keep going on about this air fryer bit that she was writing. What makes that better than get an all expenses paid trip to Turkey for a week to talk about plastic surgery? What's the difference?
Yeah, she just can't bear to lower herself to
I know.
Honestly, take whatever offer you got. She's just been...
Look,
what is she... How is she earning money here?
I'm not saying that you shouldn't have morals, because I definitely agree. Like, you should. You should have your own standards and you can set whatever you want, but be consistent with yourself. What are you doing?
Anyway, look, she tells Daniel about this, and he's like, well, beggars can't be choosers. Take it up, lady. And you might even get a good story out of it as well. So she phones up Debbie. She's convinced, says, yes, please.
The point Daniel is making that Bethany couldn't see, because, again, Bethany can't spot a story unless it's hitting her over the head. She's missed so many scoops living on this street. It's ridiculous.
I know, she's in the prime position.
She's not got any of these stories, but he's pointing out to her, like, look, really, you could go and do this puff piece, write about this place, give them their words. Really, as far as it seems like she'll be writing for a website like, go to Turkey and get your face done. I mean, what else do you need to say? But come back and then write an expose about how weird it is for, I don't know, whatever magazine will pay you for it.
Yeah,
that's what he's saying.
One of Brent's.
Yeah. What's it called? New Face.
New Face magazine. Anyway, look, so Bethany said yes, please, to Daisy. Then there was a funny... Debbie, sorry. Then she sees this... Then there's a scene with, I can't remember what this was about now. Daisy and Daniel have a bit of a hug, and Bethany's there in the foreground going, grrr. I'm a bit worried about the stability of my relationship with Mr. Osborne.
Well, Daniel is hugging Daisy because he's giving the child...
Oh, Bertie.
Look after the child.
Oh, yeah, it was that, wasn't it? This is the kind of the storyline that interweaves with Bethany bogging off to Turkey this week. The growing relationship between Daniel and Daisy again. Because
then he says, Bethany's like, why were you hugging Daisy? And he said, because she had to get Bertie because he was sick.
Yeah, that's right. So she gets a bit miffed off. I mean, I think that Bethany was in the right to feel a little bit insecure about this, don't you?
Yes. And also, why is he still asking her, Daisy, to look after Bertie?
Well, Bethany couldn't do it because it's the
Why?
thing. Because she's too busy tapping away at a typewriter. It's hard because Daisy and Bertie did have some kind of bond. It wasn't like, she was living there for the best part of a year or two, wasn't she? So she is, as far as Bertie's concerned, still, a bit... Did he call her mummy at one point? I kind of got vague memories of that. So...
Poor kid.
It's nice that I think it's nice that she's still involved, but giving her a big hug in the middle of the street. I mean, he doesn't know just how insecure Bethany's feeling about herself at the moment, because that's been sprung out of nowhere. But then I suppose we haven't seen a whole lot of Bethany recently anyway.
Well, Bethany,
but you don't just go hugging your ex right in front of your girlfriend's face. That's just rubbing it in.
If you think about Bethany's situation, she has got a lot to feel insecure about, really. Because her career's not going well and her boyfriend's hugging people, and, you know, she thought she was going to be in London writing all the pieces about important stuff, and there she is she basically is looking on Facebook all day long, not doing any work at all. I don't understand how she's paying her bills.
Yeah, well, exactly. Anyway, there's a few scenes on Monday's episode that are used to maybe... They're joking about plastic surgery, aren't they? I think it was Mondays where we had Daisy standing in front of them in the booth going, oh, maybe I'd have a bit of a tummy tuck or my face done. And then Daniel at the end of the episode as well is saying, oh yeah, maybe I'd have things done. And I think it's kind of getting Bethany thinking, oh, maybe, especially if she's feeling insecure about Daniel, do I want to get something done as well?
Yeah. I saw a lot of people saying, I think that Daisy should have gone because she's an influencer and she would have done, you know, she wanted to get it done and she would be better. But there's definitely a difference between an influencer and a journalist. But also there's a difference between an influencer, a journalist and a copywriter and a PR person. But I don't know what they want over there.
Wednesday's episodes there, we get another thing of... Daisy looking after Bertie, don't we? Bethany wants Daniel to take her to the airport, and that only works if Daisy looks after the kid. So she comes back. She's been off looking for a swim.
Why does she need Daniel to take her to the airport? It's like half an hour away.
But just
it's
we're
half
not
an
going to
hour
see
away.
each other for
Say
a week.
goodbye.
If you were going on a flight somewhere, I'd want you to come with me. I'd want to come with you.
Michael, I've been to Japan by myself 3 times. How many times did you come to the airport with me?
Probably all 3 of them.
No, you didn't. You didn't come once.
Didn't I?
No.
Well, I was probably at work or something. I don't
You're talking
remember.
absolute nonsense.
Well, I would now. That was the old me. Anyway, if he wants to go and see her off, there's no harm in that. So,
yes, there is harm in that if you've got a kid and you have to make somebody else look after him for you.
Anyway, look, she's gone swimsuit shopping later, but hasn't found anything good because she's now really insecure about all of her curvy bits that she's got.
Oh, yeah, Bethany, whatever.
Yeah, I know. So, but I think, you know, if you're Bethany... And then you got Daisy flaunting her bits and pieces in the pub.
And Daisy's there going, oh, I'd have this taken in and that put out. And
yeah, because Bethany's worried that Daisy's going to be stealing Daniel back. And she knows that Daisy's beautiful and really confident as well.
Yeah.
So it makes sense here that she's got a bit of body insecurity. But it has kind of sprung out of nowhere a little bit for the purposes of this story.
I don't know whether this was supposed to be, part of the story, but we can say it was. But she has been spending a lot of time on social media looking at stuff, and nobody uploads a picture of themselves unless they're trying to convince you that they're #honest and #real or whatever. Nobody's uploading cellulite pictures and flabby stomach stuff. Everybody's filtered to within an inch of their lives. Nobody looks real anymore. There's not a pore to be seen anywhere. So when you are young and you're looking at pictures thinking that's real life, and then you look at yourself and you're like, God, I look like a state. Of course you're going to feel insecure. But that's not what people look like.
Yeah. I still think it's kind of sprung out of nowhere a little bit, and I think
Michael,
if the journey of this story had been over many months, Bethany was starting to feel a little bit worried, it would have maybe not felt quite so quick.
The reality of being a young girl or any kind of woman in this world is that doesn't need to be any build up to insecurity. You live constantly with insecurity. Day in and day out, you're told that you're not good enough, you're not thin enough, your face isn't nice enough, your hair is not long enough. You don't need to build up to it. It's just there. And I'm telling you that's the fact. There are very few women who do not feel pressured about how they look constantly from everywhere.
Anyway, look, all we get the rest of that episode is Bethany and Daniel having a bit of a tiff about, I can't remember what. And then he goes back to the Rovers to collect Bertie from Daisy after dropping Bethany off at the airport. And he's just getting very, very pally with his ex. And even Ryan's there kind of looking at them going, hang on, I am in the room.
I know.
And that then builds up into this big breakup on Friday between the pair of them. Carla and Ryan are talking at the beginning of the episode about why haven't you moved in with Daisy yet? Because he's brought this up before and she's just trying to put him off, saying, oh yeah, I don't know, we're not really ready yet. And he's making out that he's okay with it, but you can tell he's not really. So Daisy finds him sulking in the back room of the pub later and he's like, oh, I miss just having quality time with me and you. Maybe, you know, if I moved in with you, maybe we could have it. And she's totally not interested in this. I felt so bad for Ryan.
She really was not getting it.
She wasn't trying very hard at all to hide the fact that she's not
care.
feeling this relationship
She
whatsoever.
wants her cake and eat it too, doesn't she? She's like, I want to be in a relationship with you and I do love you, but I don't really care about you that much.
Yeah, she's just he tries to have a sensible conversation with her about it, and she's just too busy saying, "Oh look, here's Bertie's teddy, Mr. Snuggles, or whatever he's called that I found." And he says, "Look, do you still have feelings for Daniel?" And she's like, "Oh, don't be daft." It carries on in the pub, and she's like, "Look, honestly, I wouldn't cheat on you, I promise." He is not convinced in the slightest by this. So this then leads up to the breakup scene in the back of the Rovers again later, and he's like, I believe that you love me, I just think you love Daniel more. We'll always have our acid bond. This is the problem with this relationship. It seems to have all stemmed on the fact that they both got a bit of Justin's acid in their face a year and a half ago, and that's been really the only thing sticking them together. And she's like, she doesn't even admit it to him, does she? At this stage, she does to Jenny later, and he's like, I think
he says,
we're done.
I'm not being second choice.
No.
What he did here was really brave, really. Because he knew that she wasn't. Loads of people would have stayed in this relationship.
He's onto a good thing with Daisy Midgley on the surface, but I couldn't be in a relationship with somebody
mooning over someone else all the time and always constantly worrying and thinking, you know, how long is she going to stay with me?
Yeah, again, I don't think that this has particularly had much build up. We've not had much of this little triangle at all this year, have we? Daisy and Ryan and Daniel, they've very much been in the background, especially compared to everything that, you know, dominating the show last year. But I suppose I didn't mind too much because I have also been much more of a Daisy Daniel shipper than Daisy and Ryan.
No, Daisy and Ryan just feels like a weird mistake.
I thought that Daisy and Daniel had a really nice setup last year.
I know, loads of people don't like them.
And she was really sweet with Bertie.
Yeah, she
I thought that they made a really, really solid family. And
I think they make an interesting couple, which is a lot more than you can say for the vast majority of couples on Coronation Street, which is just, you're similar ages to each other and you're both hot and single.
Yeah, because you've got the supposed bimbo influencer who's actually does have a brain inside her, which is Daisy. Yep. She's a smart cookie, despite some people who would take her at face value and say, oh, you know, she's just a pair of boobs. But then you got Daniel, who's the teacher, who's clearly the bookworm there.
But he's incredibly stupid inside.
In some ways he is. Yeah. I think that I really am hoping that this is leading to a reunion between those two. And put Ryan and Bethany together. Why not? They'll probably end up that way.
The thing about Daisy and Daniel is that they challenge each other. And whether or not you think they're really suited to each other is kind of beside the point, I guess, because as long as the actors have chemistry, which I think they do.
They totally do.
The point is the conflict and the friction that's generated from them being kind of dissimilar in some ways, but similar in other ways, which I think they are. I think they're perfect soap couple. I don't think in real life they would be very good together, but that's not really what we should be judging it by.
The only chemistry that Ryan and Daisy have got is the
chemistry
of the. I'm trying to think of a good way to word it. Something like the acid.
Something pH,
something like
whatever.
that. Anyway, they're both also they make a very attractive couple together. But
being
that's
hot and single's not good enough.
No.
Right,
no.
so
anyway,
up.
they've broken up, and then he goes home and has a bit of a sad time about it with Carla.
I just wanted to say great performances.
Oh yeah, awesome.
This was really
Ryan Prescott is fat. Well, they all are.
Yeah,
they all are. And I think Ryan
Charlotte Jordan was brilliant.
She's super. I think that after the saturation of these characters last year, I did get a little bit I've had enough of them. But because they've been on the back burner for a little bit, I appreciated them, and I think that they both gave as good as they got, and the split up did have a suitable amount of emotional gravitas to it, considering that we've not seen a whole load of them together. Sometimes a breakup of characters that we've never really given much of a chance to feels a bit like, oh, whatever, they're split up now. But I did really feel it, and there were real tears that they were both crying there. I thought they did a super job. But I'm still, I don't care that it's over. I'm very pleased to see that they are. Whether or not they'll stay separate, but if Ryan has got any kind of dignity now, he's not going to go crawling back to Daisy.
No, he won't. He'll just mope about. Man. He's going to get a job on a pig farm.
Do you think that he will just end up with Bethany?
No.
Don't you?
No. Why? I don't know why you're saying it.
Well, just because it seems quite neat.
Well, okay, not anytime soon.
Well,
he's still going out with Daniel at the moment.
Oh yeah, I forgot that there's that still going on, isn't there?
Yeah.
But it's not going to be long because
what
Daisy
about Ryan and Dee-Dee?
Could be.
She's single now.
Daisy tells Jenny in the pub later about this breakup, and she's like, I've never been broken up with before in my life, and now I've been split up with twice. Am I losing my touch or something? But she even admits to Jenny, I wanted it to work with Ryan, but I've never stopped loving Daniel. And that I'm glad that they had that again as a Daisy and Daniel shipper. I still sound like a flipping teenage girl when I'm saying this. That was good. That was a little light in the darkness for me. Not that this story's been that dark.
No,
but it gives me a glimmer of hope that this couple, who I think didn't get a fair enough shake, are possibly going to be back together again soon.
There are some couples who break up on this show, and I think, oh, okay, good. I'm glad that they've sorted that out, because that was terrible. And there are some couples who, when they're not together, I'm like, well, they're going to get back together again, because that's how they are, And I think Daniel and Daisy have always, to me, felt like they should be in a relationship together.
Yeah, Bethany is just too immature for Daniel. It feels it's just a weird.
It's weird. It kind
imbalance
of reflects
of power.
Poorly on Daniel that he wants to date Bethany because she is so much younger and immature than he is, and it just kind
They're
of
not a match at
comes
all.
across as a bit predatory and perverted. Even though she's obviously of age, it just feels wrong.
Yeah.
But I just wanted to point out one thing that kind of confused me, which I guess it didn't take me very long to work this out, but it did. If anyone else was confused, why is Carla's got such a hate boner for Daisy? It's because Daisy and Jenny stole the money off of her and used it on the pub. I was like, why is she so horrible about Daisy? Well, she didn't even know her.
I'm sure we would be forgiven for forgetting that.
Well, I'm just reminding, if anyone else forgot...
Nothing has been made of.
I forgot too, but then I remembered, so I'm just reminding everybody. Yeah. That is the problem.
I think I'm quite looking forward to the fallout when Bethany comes back, possibly sporting a new pair of lips like her great Granny Ivy did. So that would have run in the family. I think that could be quite explosive, and watch this space there, really. So, okay, that was kind of fun, and I wasn't expecting to enjoy it. There's some storylines that they start off and it's like, oh, okay, I'm not really sure. But no, there was good stuff. Gemma, sad times again. Now, I've got opinions on this story, and it feels like the next one, and it feels like the internet disagrees with me. And it all revolves around what kind of funeral Paul should have. So,
what's the next one?
This is it.
You said I've got this.
Yeah, the next one that we're about to do.
I thought you said you had two opinions about two different stories.
No, I only have one opinion per podcast. That's surely enough.
Right,
come on then. It is now.
I'm the same as you here. I was actually surprised
Good.
I was like, this is clearly...
It's a shame. I mean, in a way, have us being on different sides of this could make a
Makes
more
it more
interesting
exciting.
discussion. But as everybody knows, I can't win an argument with you ever.
Yes,
So
you can. You get your way.
Oh no, I can't. Right, come on. Let's run through what happened here then.
Right. So are we 2 weeks out? Is this the...
This is the second. I mean, no, this is
second
only
week
2
without Paul.
episodes after. Yeah,
I
Paul
can't
died on
remember.
Monday, then we had Friday, and now we've got Monday
Okay.
again.
So Billy's busying himself cleaning the flat, and Summer gets a call from the wheelchair people who want to come and pick up the equipment because somebody else needs it. And Billy's got to back up the voice synthesizer. And the guy comes to take the chair, and Todd comes in too and says that now they have Paul in the funeral parlour, and says if you want to come spend some time with him, then you can. And I was like, oh god, are we going to see dead Paul? Has Peter Ash got another episode under his belt? I don't know. So Billy's just really upset. He goes to Shuttleworth's after having been with Paul's body
remains
and says thank you to Todd. And Summer and Billy are left alone in the empty flat, and Summer says, I'm just trying to think what would Paul want us to do, and it gets me through. Yeah,
so the Monday's episode was just a bit of a warm up to the drama of Wednesday. It's just everybody is understandably sad.
Everyone's sad
on Monday.
Yeah. So on Wednesday, Summer talks to Billy about Bernie and that they've got to go to the undertaker's later, and he's worried that Bernie's gonna push for what he says a load of old hippies getting off their faces on acid.
Don't mention acid, it's very triggering to
Rude.
Ryan and Daisy.
Get off your face on acid. How could you be so insensitive?
Well, Ryan's had his face off because of acid.
So Summer understands, but says, look, Bernie's wishes are important because she is his mum. I can't understand why George and Todd don't have any strategies for helping people come to... This can't be uncommon, and you even say this happens all the time.
I know. When they had Billy on one side of the room, Bernie on the other, Todd was there with his tin of biscuits, and George was just like going, what do I do now?
I know.
Surely this is not an uncommon happening.
But I guess
maybe
also,
it's because they're neighbours and friends, and that's what makes it super awkward.
But also,
like,
I
who
guess
do I take sides with here?
You don't want to be the Undertaker that's like, oh yeah, they steamrolled me into this, that, or the other thing.
I didn't enjoy this because it made me really dislike Bernie. I said about the Friday episode last week that Paul's barely taken his last breath and everyone's at each other's throats, and I just didn't appreciate it. I would have preferred just a bit of a mourning, a bit of like what we got with the pillow. On Friday's episode, just a bit of kind of nice. So I didn't enjoy this.
In case you didn't realise, Bernie and Billy do have different opinions.
Who'd have think?
About how they think they should honour the memory of Paul. So, we saw that last week, didn't we? Because Bernie went round by herself with all this clippings of random. Yeah,
it was kind of all set up to maybe look like Billy and Bernie were going to come to some harmonious decision about let's do a bit of
compromise.
Both. Yeah, exactly. But no, what we got was the pair of them. It wasn't... there were a lot of people online that seemed to be completely on Bernie's side here. But what I get out of this scene was Billy was there, he had his Bible and he got his verses ready, and he was willing to... I mean, he wasn't backing down. He wanted to have a proper Christian funeral. Well, of course he did. Who can blame him?
I know. Like, how dare the Archbishop?
But he wasn't
Archdeacon.
He wasn't having a go at Bernie. He was just standing firm to his beliefs and what he honestly thought that Paul would have wanted.
Bernie
was just vile.
I think she's in the wrong here, and I know that this is not a popular opinion. But she's not listening to anything that Billy's trying to tell her about how Paul may have changed. I don't know why he hasn't brought up the fact that Paul was going to church regularly with Dee-Dee. I don't know if that's going to be the trump card they pull out later
I don't think so, because I think that we hold on to that quite a lot, and maybe it was just a throwaway line in the bath time episode.
Maybe Corey's like, I wish we hadn't said that, because...
I mean, Paul hadn't obviously been to church for a while because he couldn't get out of the flat, but... The
thing I'm struggling with a little bit here also is they keep talking about Paul, and he's a right raver, and here's his, here's this hat that he used to wear, and he used to go to raves, and he used to do this and that, and we didn't see any of it.
Not really.
We saw him being a scallywag and being in prison. It's not the same as being a raver.
No, the closest... I mean, we did in the narration episode a few months ago, the dream sequence was him having a rave.
Well, he was just dancing with his husband, and in a club.
He was doing a bit of a boom.
I know, but listen, Michael, my point is, and I think you would agree with me, is that just because when you were younger you went to nightclubs does not mean you want a nightclub-themed funeral.
No, it really comes across to me that Bernie was just trying to live out, what she wants for a funeral.
Really,
and I know it wasn't that. But
so's Billy, right?
Yeah.
But I think Billy
there's
has
a lesson
more
here
evidence.
for Paul. Next time he dies, leave instructions.
There's so much more evidence to me that I think Billy's right in what he's saying, but it really winds me up that Paul left no instructions whatsoever except for a very specific car.
He wants a pink Subaru.
He wants a pink or blue Subaru.
Blue, yeah.
For the funeral car, which... Okay, why couldn't you have said anything else?
Yeah, he really... Especially knowing that this kind of... Because they'd already had the argument last year about crystals.
Jesus.
Exactly, crystals versus Christ, and then surely it was going to come up again.
This is what this storyline should be called.
It is
crystals versus Christ. Who will win?
But the thing.
There's nothing inherent.
We'd heard from Paul that he's had a bit of a conversion. He got baptised, but we still didn't really see enough of it. So, from a viewer's perspective, if I was Bernie and all I saw of Paul was what the show had shown Paul to be like, yeah, he's not a big Christian at all. Bernie says, you only turn to... There's so many people just turn to God when they're on their deathbed. He wasn't, going around singing
it wasn't
hallelujah,
his life.
praise the Lord. It wasn't. But maybe he was just not in the scenes that we saw filmed. I'd like to think, and I don't know why, just because I think I've got so much affection for that bath scene, that he had, been born again or what have you. But yeah, we didn't see it. What really wound me up the most in this, though, was just how Bernie wasn't listening, and she was being absolutely vile to Billy, who has just lost his husband, and she's saying, oh yeah, it's just a bunch of fairy tales, it's not real, it's a load of bunkum. That is so disrespectful. But Billy wasn't saying that. He wasn't saying to her, crystals are a load of rubbish, or raves are just for losers. He was trying to say no and explain his side of the story, but she was just calling him all sorts, and he's grieving just like she is.
I totally agree with you. He did say that he thinks... Billy did say, I'm worried Bernie wants the funeral to be an excuse for a load of old hippies to get other faces on acid. But he didn't say that to Bernie.
I don't think he did.
He said it to Summer. He wasn't really wrong. He was just very rude in what he said, but he hasn't been rude to Bernie. Bernie has been very rude to him, and I do think she's displaying the sort of zealot-like, holier-than-thou attitude that she's accusing Billy of having. Because she's completely stuck in her way and she's absolutely not listening at all, and she's kind of saying that there's some kind of moral deficiency in what Billy's saying. And I've seen a lot of people online who do seem to be, not everybody, but a lot of people are using their hatred of religion and specifically Christianity to bash Billy and what he wants this funeral to be. And I know that some people have got very good reason to not like religion. I'm not having an argument about that. What I am saying is it's not really Billy's fault, and Billy is entitled, as is Bernie, to his belief system. The question is, what would Paul want? And neither of them are really listening to each other about what it is they think that Paul wanted. And I think that there is a right answer here. I think it's more on the Billy side of things than the Bernie side, but I do think Bernie's not wrong in saying that some elements that she thinks should be involved, should be included, right? But the other thing I also want to say is, from the other perspective, because we are very much on Billy's side here, I cannot imagine how alienating and distressing it would be to go to a funeral for my son in a place that was just alien to me, in a things that I associate with bad times in my life, or beliefs that aren't my beliefs.
I mean, I think Bernie
would be actually quite traumatizing.
Bernie did cleaning work at the church for a little bit, so it's not like she thinks that she's going to turn into a pillar of salt.
No, but it's not comforting, is it? When you're grieving, you want comfort and familiarity, and Bernie's not a churchy person. She doesn't think that Paul was. I just think there is a case to be said for compromise, but I genuinely think that the best thing is to have two different services, and I don't see why
they did it for the wedding.
I don't see why they can't do that, because at a certain point, if you compromise too much, it becomes not the thing that you want.
I suppose
and having two funerals is not. It's not like one invalidates the other, is it?
I suppose it's a case of where he gets buried, though. Does he get buried in the church?
They're not arguing about where he gets buried. That hasn't come up once.
Yeah, it's just the.
Well, I guess maybe did Bernie say she wanted to scatter him somewhere? She spoke about.
She probably wants to have him ground up and put into a pair of Mary's light up shoes, so he can he can just be a disco forever on her feet.
I don't know.
I'm not sure. I think that it does make sense that the pair of them have got different ideas about what the funeral should be.
It's
but
just
I wish
really sad that they can't.
I wish that they'd have sat down and had a heart-to-heart talk about it.
One of the things that Paul said was like, please don't argue.
Yeah, and what we saw last week, Bernie being such a strong character when Paul was on his deathbed, and how kind she was to Billy, kind of letting him say his thing over the phone while Paul was dead. She was calling him Bill, and she was lovely to him, and to go from that to calling him all sorts only a week later, it just didn't ring true. So I think that having them just get together and say, look, you want this, I want this, and it wouldn't have made, there's a lot of drama and characters having slanging matches with Todd and his biscuit in the centre, but I would have preferred the character moment that would have come out of just a pure dialogue scene, which I know that both of those actors would have done brilliantly.
There's still plenty of time for that to happen. I'm
just waiting for Bernie to kind of turn around to Billy and say, well, you know what? He was dead when you were speaking on the phone.
Maybe that's what will happen.
This is the way it's to me that she's going at the moment, and that would be bang out of order.
Can I just say, I think we've been talking about, Billy's... Billy wanted to talk to Paul and he wasn't there, and they're hiding it from him, and I wonder whether Bernie's got a bit of resentment here, because her final moments with her son were kind of marred a bit by the fact that Billy wasn't there, and she couldn't really have a precious moment with him because she was just worrying about Billy not being there. Yeah. And maybe she blames him for kind of making it more stressful, and for the fact that he wasn't there because she knows that Paul wanted him to be there. And another part of me wonders whether she's in a little bit of denial that her son had a life that she didn't really fully understand, because she's very close with her family and it means a lot to her. Kit's come back from being estranged for her, and she doesn't know him at all. But one thing she does think she knows is her two kids that she's very close to. So when Billy comes to her and says, actually, this is what Paul wanted, she's being super defensive because all she's got is how close she was with Paul. If she doesn't have that and she doesn't really know him, then what on earth has she got left?
Yeah, exactly.
So they're both really stuck here because, Bernie's got a lot. Maybe those are the reasons, apart from the fact that she truly believes, and what I said before about feeling alienated in the church. But Billy, on the other hand, is genuinely, I think, blindsided a bit by this, because he's an archdeacon who was married to his religious husband, who was baptised and had a
he's
church.
going to think, well, of course he's going to have.
I don't think Billy's in the wrong here at all to just go. I mean, how many times has he done a funeral? Hundreds and hundreds of them. Why would this one be any different?
Yeah.
Why would he compromise on something so important to him, which is his religion, and the most important person in his life, which is Paul?
And people will say, well, he's not working there at the church at the moment, and he's hardly been You know,
Yeah, well,
whiter
that's
than white.
just
He's
the
shooting
show.
up drugs in the church. Yeah, of course. And he lambasted the Church of England on radio last year.
Who hasn't?
But it doesn't. His faith was still strong throughout all of that. He's not wavered in that.
No, he's never said, "Oh, I think I'm having a wobble."
No, I don't think so.
Not recently.
You know, and every lots of people of faith do it at some point. But yeah, who do you think that? I've got kind of two things, other discussion points here. Do you think that the show was pushing us to be on one side or the other?
I was thinking... Right, go on, next question.
The other one was, do you think that the husband or the parent...
Oh, this is a good question.
...has got
this is
more
a really,
right as who's got the veto?
So this whole story is super frustrating, and I kind of wish they hadn't done it, but at the same time, what a great, rich theme of discussion we have uncovered.
Listeners, can you tell that we're more interested in this storyline than what Joel's getting up to this week? Although I did have a dream about Swain the other day, so she's clearly on my mind. I dreamt that I was bagging up charity clothes with No, it wasn't with Emily Bishop. It was Eileen Derbyshire. She was out of character. Whilst at the same time, I was on work experience at Weatherfield Police Station with Swain. That was my dream on Tuesday night. So anyway, sorry. Yeah. Anyway, what was that?
What was the first question?
First question was, was it kind of pushing us to support one side more than another?
See, this is fascinating to me because I was watching this going, Bernie's just being really unreasonable here. I feel bad like they're besmirching her character because I think she's more sensible than this and she would be a bit more open to hearing what Billy said, and I'm surprised that she doesn't understand that religion was important to Paul. That doesn't make any sense.
Especially after Paul opened his mind to it, maybe she would be more...
And then I go online and everyone's like, Billy's foul and vile and horrible and nasty and he's the worst and I hate him and I wish he was dead.
I know, I didn't really see many
what?
people at all taking the
I'm
same
really
side.
confused.
If I've convinced like one person to go onto Team Billy during
not
this,
even
then
to
I'll
go
feel
on
that
to
I've done
Team...
a good job.
Not even Team Billy, just like Team... Cool, that's a conundrum, isn't it? But I will say, people did open my mind to Bernie's side. Because I was totally thinking, oh, she's in the wrong. But it just goes to show you again, like I keep saying about storylines, there really is, half of it is what you bring to it before it's even on the show. Like, we both have backgrounds of less raving and more church, right? I don't go to church, but I did when I was younger. And so to me...
We didn't go raving.
But... So my perspective is like primed to like go, yeah, well, you have a funeral. I guess it's like, it's the traditional thing. You get married, you get baptised, you get married, and you get your funeral in the church. That's normal. That's what I would expect. Anything
it's like when
other
we did
than
the weddings episode for the podcast, and we were looking at the stats of how few people get married in church anymore. My mind was blown about how many people get married in a barn.
It's not like a sinister, like, I think you're wrong if you don't agree with me. It's just because to us, it's not like even a question of like, oh, this is normal, so therefore it's right. It's just, it makes me happy. Like, some of these things make me happy, so why wouldn't they make you happy? I want you to be happy too. So I just assume, and that's where I think, you know, as long as you're open to your assumptions being challenged, which I think we both are, I think it's okay to hold certain beliefs. So when I was totally so sure that they were right and putting to be a cow about it, and then mind blown. So I think Coronation Street's done a really, really good job. Maybe we're biased though. Maybe Billy has been underwritten for this. Maybe
I really, really hope that Paul does get it would just feel wrong to me if he doesn't get a church funeral, especially after the wedding, when the wedding being at the church was clearly so important to both of them.
But yeah, and also Gemma's wedding.
Yeah, exactly.
But genuinely, it's not because I think that church is right and Jesus is real and Billy is...
And raving is the work of
wrong,
the devil.
Whatever. I don't think that at all. I just think that's what Paul wanted. I genuinely think that is what Paul wanted.
Yeah, so do I. And I think that as well, the fact that we had a lot of Friday's episode was, we had Summer being really upset by it all. It feels like we're being led towards down the path of Billy's the right one. But you're right, they have done a good job of not making it completely black and white.
And the question,
and as for the husband versus the mother,
well,
I think I would have to say that that marriage trumps parentage in these
Who
matters.
was it that was so...
As much as difficult it is to be a parent, but part of the
You have to
maybe
let
this
your
is just the
children go.
exactly, and maybe this is just the traditional thing again. But there is the whole element of giving away when people get married.
Yeah,
and who was Paul's next of kin? It was Billy.
Yeah. Just to be clear, it is clearly, obviously, a patriarchal, sexist, trope that the dad gives the daughter away. That happened at our wedding. My dad walked me down the aisle. I choose to believe that it was a symbolic kind of accompaniment of my dad to my next stage of life, rather than, here's my property, you look after it now. It's your problem.
Your dad wouldn't trust me with this. So.
But it's kind of silly to pretend that you don't move forwards in your life away from your birth family to your new chosen family and the family that you make with your bits and your other one. That's what happens. So you do progress through, and your parents, you do leave them behind. And when your child is an adult, you have to let them go and understand that there are elements of their lives that you probably don't know about and aren't part of anymore. And it is really hard, and no parent ever expects to have to be involved in their child's funeral. No.
I suppose there is also the matter of the fact that Bernie throughout this has felt mega guilty. I mean, she was saying last year, it was me that gave Paul M&D, it was all my raving that I did.
Why does she want the raven to take him out then?
But the fact that she kind of feels some responsibility for him, and she wasn't able to save him, but I'll do my damnedest and give him the send off that I think he deserves, maybe does give a reason for her to be thinking that she should make the final decision on this.
I just think this is really interesting, and I don't think anyone's wrong in what they want, but I would think that they're wrong in how they're...
Yeah, I think it's interesting, but I just
making
think
it more fun to watch.
I say it didn't make it more fun.
Well, you found it marred.
I did not enjoy Wednesday's episode.
Okay.
And this particular scene in the funeral parlour really got my goat.
I think the thing is, it didn't please me to watch it. I think I like to discuss it.
I've enjoyed this bit. I've had a great 20 minutes, however long we've been on this topic.
And it does what soaps really should do, which is to challenge you to think beyond your experience about how other people view the world, which is raving up at a funeral.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, I'm still not in the slightest bit on Team Bernie here. I thought that Bernie was being written as not, in the right here, is because at the end of Wednesday's episode, Billy's like, we can't, I can't just compromise on things. He gets a message from Bernie going, we should have a phone machine. Like, at a funeral. Read the room, Bernie.
I get it. If you're having a celebration of life, but Billy is right in that you cannot have a somber, reflective, serene and calm church service to, what do you do? Commend the soul to Christ with a phone machine. I just don't think they go.
I'm sure there are some churches that do
now,
that.
Smoke machine, yes, that's perfect. It's atmospheric. It looks like incense.
I'm sure the thing is, I'm not too worried about it because I'm sure they will come to a compromise. I just think they need to have because it's a nice happy ending.
After you do, it just means double the sandwiches.
Exactly, that's not too bad a thing, is it?
No.
So that was the hot debate on Friday, and Wednesday. I mean, Friday we just get a little bit of reflection at number 5 where Bernie's a bit sad.
The thing that kind of gets me too about Bernie is that she's holed up with all of her gang, and they're all just going, yeah, you're right, Bernie. Well, they're not kind of asking her to question herself. They're just kind of like going, okay. Because you've got Asha, Ardy, you got Kit, you got Gemma, and who else was there?
I think that was it. Well, Summer turns up eventually to bring around the Let's Get Ready to Rumble t-shirt without an H, which should have been in Rumble if it was based on the Ant and Dec song. Thank you.
Maybe they've copywritten it.
I did think it was an odd little gaggle of characters, which are technically related. Well, they are a family, but when did Asha and Ardy have anything whatsoever to do with this story? Did they even get a scene with Paul while he was? They care? Yeah, I mean, they should have done. What with their dad going out with the dad of the dying man, but they've had nothing to do with this at all.
No.
And when Asher was there, she was the paramedic, but
Asher's the one that says that mums trump husbands.
did she?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure she did.
I think you're right. I think she maybe said she did. I really appreciated their inclusion in it today. I think it's just a bit too late.
I like this discussion because Bernie was talking about the terrible funerals that she's been to. Then she talks about her friend that wanted to get buried at Glasgow because she was a witch in a previous life and she wouldn't want to be buried in a church because the church burned her because she was a witch. And Ardy says, how do you know? And she said, because she had 3 nipples. And I just wanted to let everybody know that is a true folklore fact about witches. And the 3rd nipple is functional and it is used to feed your familiar.
Oh,
and
so
that's
you can have
how
a little cat suckling at it.
That's how you would know that the woman was a witch, is that she would suckle the cats.
What's the 6th finger used for? Because that was
giving really elaborate, like, rude gestures at people.
So that's Friday.
You've got to get a good grip on the broomstick, Michael. You need an extra finger.
This is true. That's what Anne Boleyn used hers for.
Let me tell you off air what the symbology of the broomstick was.
Oh, maybe that's Patreon. I
think you might better guess.
Maybe I can. So anyway, the Summer brings round a load of his clothes. They all give him a good sniff.
Well, hang on. This is again something you're kind of brushing over, but this is a symbol to, here is Billy chucking out all of Paul's stuff, and they're not ready for this. They're surprised that he's moving on so quickly.
But I think, didn't Paul say get rid of it? There's a line about Paul wanting to get rid of it quickly or something. Yes, they all got his bag of stuff and they sniff his hat, his acid hat. And then we see Summer later having a good old cry on the sofa, that was a great scene.
I know Paul had this hat, and they were saying, he loved this hat.
We've never seen him in this.
Yeah, hat. I know, we never seen it. The only thing we'd ever seen him wear was that unicorn onesie,
which is now out on display on the Coronation Street Experience. They can't use it.
Yeah,
the shop's soiled.
Maybe it will be on ITV Reloved.
Oh yeah, no, they wouldn't. They'd get more than £10 for that. Asher comes round to see Summer later, and they talk a bit about. She mentions about.
Pointed this out to
me.
No,
it does get mentioned.
No,
it does because she says, "Oh, well, when people die, it's a bit like when my mum Sunita died, and I felt guilty on the days that I didn't think about her, and I've definitely been through that with my mum as well, and I was waiting, and it did happen in the end, but maybe just a bit too late." Summer's like, "Oh yeah, I suppose I'm like that with my dad, with Drew."
If I was Summer,
it did feel like Asher was lecturing Summer on how to grieve when she has been through it before.
And more recently.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh yeah, sorry, I forgot. My dad did die also.
So then the
just because it wasn't in the stunt week.
The end of this story was very, very touching. Asher producing this pillow that Nina has apparently sewn together, which is a cobble of Paul's shirts, so they can hug it. I thought that was really... I've never seen this before. What? I thought that was lovely. A little patchwork death pillow.
Death pillow?
Yeah. You could do that with all my Nintendo shirts when I die.
No, I think I'll die first.
Well, yeah, what clothes could I piece together to make something to hug for you?
My pyjamas. I've got some nice plaid pyjamas.
You've got a load of Halloween t-shirts. I'd make
be scary.
One Gemma wears Halloween t-shirts all year round. And Christmas t-shirts all year round. I thought that was a really, really nice touch, and I'm hoping that Asher and Ardy will play a bigger part in this story over the next few weeks.
I like just having the teens. I know there's a lot of teens in it. And
these are the teens I want to see.
These are the teens I'm interested in. The ones that have been in it for a long time. And Asher like being mature and helping her friend through her grief in a practical way. I thought, good for you, Asher. You're so sensible. I'm really proud of you.
Yeah.
You're doing a good job.
I thought it was fab. Loved it.
It's a shame you let Paul die on your watch.
We have got the Dorin storyline next. We both kind of shared that story, didn't we? Is it my turn or is it your turn? I think it's me that's supposed to be synopsising this one. So we were left on last Friday wondering whether Tyrone was going to get his prohibitive steps order in place by Monday. I know.
Without thinking of steps.
It does turn out that they're not just instantaneous, like, exchanging of housing contracts in Weatherfield and all of that kind of jazz. So he can't actually prevent her from returning to Romania with a click of his fingers. So Monday rolls round and Alina comes over to the number 9 to pick up Dorin, and Tyrone's clearly very anxious about this whole thing. He sees them off with a smile though. But then she's trying to call Tyrone later, but he won't take the call and tells Fizz it's just Kevin. But because what's happened is Alina's got to the airport and her passport's missing because Tyrone's been a little bit sneaky and has pinched it out of her bag so that she can't get on the plane. And Fizz doesn't know that he's done this at the moment, so she kind of looks around and tries to find it. More lovely Dorin scenes. I liked it when she came in. He's like marching in through the hall, and there's the picture of Tyrone and Fizz on the phone table, isn't there? And Dorin goes up and's like, "Daddy Tyrone."
I know, what does, how did he, what, I hope this kid is being looked after. Like, he does know that's not his, is he his dad?
I don't think he
is he going to be confused,
the son of Alan
or is he
Halsall.
just such a convincing actor that I believe he's made me believe that he thinks Tyrone's his actual dad? Like, this kid needs to get the Best Newcomer award for sure.
I know. I think he better be up there.
He's the best actor on the show. I believe everything he says. That yellow car was the most yellow car I've ever seen in my life.
He's a master of improv. I mean, Jack Carroll.
They don't normally.
Sorry, you've been dethroned, mate.
I will say they don't normally like that on a soap. Improv.
No, they don't tend to.
Like,
no.
You know what, guys? I'm going to take this a different way. This character, I know you say he's a serial killer, but I think he's just a nice bloke.
Anyway, so Fizz goes and finds Tyrone, and she can tell pretty quickly that he's up to something. And after a little bit of nagging, he confesses to taking this passport. And it's like, well, yeah, I had to do something to stop Alina taking my son away. I've got rights. If she leaves the country, it's game over for me. So Fizz is like, no, we can't do this. Poor old Fizz has been piggy in the middle through this whole thing. She has to be the one to give the passport back to Alina in the cafe later, claiming that she found it inside one of Hope's boots. I mean, like, I was still a little bit unsure about why Alina was so convinced that this is where her passport was.
No, it doesn't.
It could have been
sense.
Anywhere.
If you've lost it, you've lost it, haven't you?
Yeah, I mean, I know, yes, she had been there earlier, but anyway.
I don't think I would have thought I've definitely lost it at their house, because why would I have taken it out?
Yeah, exactly. But anyway, don't worry about that, everybody. No one else does. They all go. They go to Romania. Fizz waves them off in a taxi.
We pick up the stupid. I'm sorry.
Sometimes we nitpick and sometimes we let things fly.
Corey, that we do this.
You can't get it.
It's not. We're just how we're made.
So Tyrone's like, what? They're gone. And so now he's mad at Fizz at the end of the episode. He's saying to her, oh, now I may never see my son again because of you. Is this because of the affair that I had? And she's like, look, I had to lie to Alina about the passport. I didn't tell her that you'd pinched it, actually. He's fuming at her. He's bang out of order, Tyrone, here, after everything that Fizz. She's bent over backwards at him. And he says, well, you can be the one that tells the girls that you've shipped your little brother abroad. So, sorry, Tyrone, you've been a bit of an arse there.
Yeah.
Tyrone and the girls on Wednesday are zooming Alina and Dorin before school. They don't get to talk for very long, and he's still in a very sarky mood about it, telling Fizz, oh, well, I barely got to speak to him for more than 5 seconds. And now Alina doesn't think that we should video call for much longer because it's confusing Dorin. I've actually written Lauren in my notes here.
It does
very
confuse.
Easily confused.
Lauren, why am I involved in this
One is
story?
chirpy and cheery and one is miserable.
I would take 2 Dorins before I took 1 Lauren.
100%. Fizz tells Cassie about what's going on later, and Cassie's like, oh, I'm sure you'll work something out, it's fine. But Fizz says, no, I've made a big mistake. So Cassie said, look, just talk to Alina about it. I'm sure she'll set you straight. So then Fizz zooms Alina, and
oh dear,
this is Fizz's tech fail of the week, wasn't it?
Yeah,
so
mishap.
They're in the middle of the conversation.
So Fizz is zooming Alina, trying to get her to let Tyrone talk to Dorin more.
Yeah, and Alina's like, oh, I don't really think so, because Dorin's really confused. And Tyrone comes in. Fizz slams, well, she doesn't slam the laptop lid down. She gently tilts it downwards. And after they have a little argument in which they loudly proclaim, oh, you should have never stolen her passport whatsoever, it's revealed that Alina is still listening through the laptop, and she's like, excuse me, I can't believe it, you stole my passport, how could you? Now I will never speak to you again. I think that her reaction there was a little bit fly off the handily But
I don't know.
yes, it was bad what Tyrone did.
I think I would be mad as well.
I think I'd be mad and I would make that ultimatum, but I would probably realise, well...
use your children as a weapon.
She knows that, Dorin is besotted with Tyrone now. I'm sure he would, give it a few months. He's probably going to forget who he is for sure. But I think it would be pretty heartless of Alina at this point to tell little Dorin, we're never seeing Daddy Tyrone again. But anyway,
he's dead.
Yeah, she could say that. Anyway, so they Hope ends up going missing at the end of the episode because she walks in on Fizz and Tyrone arguing about it, and she's like, "Oh, my brother! I can't believe it. Oh, you got rid of him, etc." It's like one of those Dobbs children is going missing every week. Last week it was Ruby. This time it's Hope, and they're both fine. They both end up at the precinct. That's the new Victoria Gardens for where people who go missing end up. But she's vaping.
No.
She's having a vape with Jack. Jack's not vaping. He's just a vape enabler.
Yeah.
By not telling her, I don't think you should do this. But Tyrone doesn't see it, and then they all take them home, and then that's the end of that for Wednesday. But it all kicks off again on Friday when Sam catches his ex, Hope, having a bit of a vape in the locker. She's just brazenly doing it. I'm pretty sure that's not allowed at school, and Mrs. Crawshaw would have her guts for garters if she caught her. And I would have thought that they'd maybe... Do schools have CCTV these days? They probably do, especially by the lockers, because that's prime beating up territory, I've heard.
I've heard that schools... I don't know if this is just... Well, that vape companies are providing schools with free vape detectors.
Yeah, that wouldn't surprise me. I think it does go on, but I think that most teenagers have probably got the decency to at least hide in the toilet to go and do it rather than vaping in a crowded corridor.
Well, she could have hid in the toilet and showed off to Sam.
I don't think they've got mixed gender toilets.
Exactly, that's what I mean. That's why she had to do it in the locker room.
Well, Sam comes along and says, "This is bad for your health. It'll make put tar on your lungs."
Formaldehyde. Yeah. It doesn't have tar.
Oh, well, no, it doesn't have tar. Well, whatever.
It's got a load of other stuff.
I'm no Sam. I'm no square. I'm not a scientist. But she doesn't care. And she's so heartless to him.
Like, it's cool.
Considering that they were a really sweet couple. And I know it's not, it's different when you're that age. But she's treating him like utter dirt now. And it was a fairly...
It's because she's an addict.
I suppose...
What she cares about is the next puff.
The breakup wasn't particularly, it wasn't...
It was acrimonious, one might say.
Yeah, when she was like, no, what was it he said? Can we tell people it was mutual? It was mutual. She's like, no. So she's completely kicked into the curb. So maybe this does.
Yeah, this does definitely. Right. Okay.
Sam.
So there are some characters on the show that I basically think are me in a different life, and Hope is me in a different life, and I would certainly be rude.
You wouldn't be vaping by the lockers, but you'd certainly...
I'd be like, get lost.
Take
there.
any excuse to kick him. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, all that happens really later on this episode is that Cassie's emptying her PE bag, finds the vape, confronts her about it, and says, "No more vaping, or else I'm going to tell your dad." And she does a little swear, "I promise I won't vape anymore." She will, won't she?
Yeah, I liked Cassie finding it.
Yeah, it gives her
a little secret here.
Well, Ken knows as well, doesn't she? Because she goes over and says to him.
This was funny. He's like,
"Oh yeah." She says, "Do anyone in your family smoke?" And it's like, "Oh yes, that Peter." Ken, you were a massive smoker in your younger days. In fact, your house nearly burnt down when you went out the shops to buy some cigarettes one time. So don't
you
just
because
Peter,
your children.
Just because Peter's not here, you think you couldn't say that he's the. What about Deirdre? She was a chimney, exactly. Anyway, so that was kind of fun.
If I was Ken, I'd be like, did anyone smoke around here? I don't know, can you smell the wallpaper?
Yeah, exactly. You probably still can't get the whiff.
You know
of it
how
out.
you think that's yellow? No, it was actually white.
This was pure white
wall.
wallpaper when we bought that. Is this just turning into a vaping story? I just want Dorin to come back. I'm desperate for Dorin.
Dorin can't vape, Michael.
No. I just want him to come back. I want that to be the story. I kind of want Alina to come back now because Alina will come back with Dorin. I think I enjoy Alina more than I did in her last stint because I'm not worried about. I'm not in the slightest bit worried.
Don't like her storylines, but this is more interesting than that. So fine.
Yeah, for sure. I'm not as interested in the vaping side of it. It's like, I know it's very current and everything. Well, we did have something with vaping earlier on this year. Or last year or this year, I've lost track. because that
Who
was
was
when
that?
was when Simon got his pallet of vapes, wasn't it?
Yeah, but who was it there was another kid vaping?
Maybe it was Hope earlier. I don't remember. I think somebody mentioned in today's episode that she was caught up in it when it happened before. No, it was Liam. He was having a vape, wasn't he? Because it was bad for his asthma.
All these children.
Do you remember?
Well, it is a kind of important.
Yeah.
But it's one of these like
it is a scourge. And I can sit on my high horse and say, oh, vaping is wrong. And obviously we have got some listeners who are vaping because statistics show that there's an awful lot of vapers out there. But
what are you doing?
So I just obviously
if Hope sees you doing that, she'll think it's good and she'll start doing it.
I'm just clean living.
Not me.
Yeah,
I don't vape though.
This strawberry cider that you're drinking tonight does smell quite nice actually.
Is it like the cotton candy vape smell? Cider. No, you don't like that.
I don't.
Okay.
No, it smells nice from afar, but I just got a whiff in the can and it smells like horrible alcohol.
Well, your body is a temple, Michael.
I do. Oh yeah, I like strawberry things. Okay.
Well, I don't. It's one of these things where I was like, I don't care. I don't really
care about it. It's got Jack involved.
There are loads of people that find this very important. It is a really important thing to talk about, but it's kind of dull in that. Is there anyone going, oh no, children should vape more, if anything?
It's
no,
also another thing where I think,
is there?
is a single child in the country going to be convinced not to vape by this story?
No, they're going to think it's lame, aren't they? And it's not going to help that Hope was clearly vaping AI-generated smoke or whatever it was.
CGI.
It was just...
I thought it looked quite good.
It kind of did, but you need to do it 3 times in the same scene. That's the budget blown for the year, isn't it? Now we're never going to have a ghost in it.
Right. Speaking of characters bogging off abroad, we did say another goodbye to Tracy this week, didn't we?
Yeah.
That's my cue for you to take on this story.
Monday,
nothing much really happened.
The Barlow's clan say goodbye. And to Tracy, left alone with Steve, she tells him that he ought to get in there with Cassie.
Get in there, my son.
And then she's gone.
Yeah, that was literally it. I wasn't genuinely expecting when I said it last week there to be some grand airport scenes where both Tyrone and Steve are running through the security to try and stop their significant others from disappearing. But it was a bit of a muted.
Everyone's gone, haven't they?
Wasn't it?
Alina's gone to Romania. Tracy's gone to Spain, and Bethany's gone to Turkey.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like Brexit never happened.
They're racking up the air points. What's it called?
Air
miles.
Air points.
We don't fly very much.
Right,
yeah,
Steve.
In Weatherfield this week.
Steve comes back and says to Cassie, come to the pub with me. And she and Ken tell Steve about this holiday that they're looking into. And Steve's like, So he quizzes her in the pub about it later and says, is Ken paying for all this? You taking advantage of him? And she's like, Oh, you don't like carers, do you? Oh, you hate carers. You want us to all die in a ditch, do you? Actually, my job is to help Ken enjoy his break. It's not about me. And actually, I do like Ken. I like hanging out with him. He's clever, he's charming, he's witty, all the things you're not.
I do 100% believe this relationship. That Cassie does actually find Ken a fascinating person, because he is, which is why I still just a little bit sticks in my core a little bit about the fact that she's taken advantage of him for the money.
She's not.
But
yet.
I know.
It's like the same thing with
She's
the
not
cult.
fleecing him.
Like the cult thing.
I missed
Again,
the cult story.
The cult thing. They didn't really. They just kind of assumed that everyone would go along with the fact that it's an evil cult and therefore everything they do is evil and wrong. But they put Amy's savings in a high interest account where presumably it still is. I don't know. It's like, oh no, they've put it in an ISA. Oh gosh, like
the fiends.
I know, but what was she doing with it? Was it under her mattress or something? Because they've done her a favour in that case. And like with Cassie here, I guess you can take it. I don't know. I just feel like you maybe you are taking advantage of somebody, but if they're also taking advantage of you, I don't know. He's not taking advantage of her, but they're both getting something out of it. It's not like the crime of the century, is it? Oh, she's stolen a holiday, or she has to look after an old man because she's his carer. Oh no. Yeah. Call the police.
If she comes back with a ring on her finger,
I think it was hilarious.
The fourth Mrs. Barlow.
But how many women have done that's what Look, if you're an attractive young woman and you can get an old rich guy to marry you, bloody good for you. I'm sure he doesn't mind.
The story just ends with Amy saying, well, maybe Steve is jealous of Ken because he's going off on holiday with Cassie when really Steve would like to, and Steve is like saying, well, yeah, maybe.
But
not.
really,
No.
Steve would hate to go on holiday with Ken.
Yeah.
So what is he?
No,
moaning about?
She's saying that he wants to go on holiday with Cassie because he secretly fancies her.
When they were talking about where they're going, and they were saying, "Oh, there's a bar and it's got there's a pool, an infinity pool, the swim up bar." I just kept imagining them accidentally booking a holiday to go to the show Benidorm, and what Ken would think of being on holiday in Benidorm, the TV show, not the location, which is also coincidentally in Benidorm, and how much fun Cassie would have compared to how much fun Ken would have.
Didn't you have a Corrie dream about going on holiday with some Corrie people the other day? Didn't you tell me you were dreaming about going on holiday with Ben Price and Colson Smith?
No. We all went on... This is too convoluted.
Do the abridged version.
We all went on holiday to America because they were filming Coronation Street in America, so they said, we can use our Patreon money to go and look at the locations they went to. But for some reason, Colson Smith and Jack P. Shepherd came with us.
Oh, it was Jack, wasn't it? Yeah.
And then I left you, three of you, having an arm wrestling competition. And I said, I'm not doing it because I've seen how you can get your arm broken. I'll see you guys later.
But you let me break my arm.
You do what you want. You're a grown man.
So, and that was the same night that I had my Emily Bishop dream as well. So I don't know what we were eating.
I wasn't going to bring
night.
it up because I don't feel like it reflects well upon us that we dream so constantly.
Look, how many listeners? Raise your hands if you've ever had a Coronation Street dream. Come on, we know that you're out there. We've all done it. It doesn't mean anything.
They are funny. It's just funny.
I very, very rarely remember my dreams, but I woke up with that one going, wow, that was Corrie-rific. So,
yes.
Was this a Corrie-rific week of Coronation Street? No, it wasn't.
Well, I had more fun talking about it. Like usual when it's a boring-ish week.
I found the Deering storyline still a bit of a slog to talk through, but I respect that is the A story at the moment, so we had to put it first.
But even
I know that it's got its fans.
Yeah, but I'm a fan. And I didn't like this week. I thought it was dull. Did anyone else who likes this story find this a bit of a tough slog?
I'm going to give this week's Coronation Street 3 nipples out of 5.
Come and suckle at my teat.
What about you?
I'm going to give it 3 very convincing sourdough impressions out of 5.
Very nice.
So who's the character of the week then? Dorin again?
No, we can't just keep giving it to Dorin.
Dape, vape, smoke.
I'm certainly not going to be Bernie, I'll tell you that.
Bernie's in a bad book.
I still have got a lot of respect for Fizz going on at the moment for having to deal with all this drama and doing so with decorum. I think that...
It's hard because, nobody in the Joel story, nobody in
I don't think anyone in the Joel story, though, although Sabrina might be up with a shout just for the sheer, reason
Sabrina.
of being in the show.
Yeah, I loved seeing her back. I thought she'd
nice
gone forever.
I might give...
Debbie.
I might give Character of the Week to Ryan, because it did take a lot of guts to break up with the beautiful Daisy, and I felt bad for him. And
he's
I don't
very mature.
I don't want him to get a sympathy vote.
But you're giving him one.
Maybe. Again, Billy didn't get it last week. Yeah, I think in a not so amazing week, I am going to give my Character of the Week to Ryan Connor.
Not Joel, not Swain, not Dee-Dee, because Dee-Dee's just turned into Swain's little co-conspirator.
You can give it to Dorin if you want to, but again, he didn't have a whole lot to do.
I know, but I kind of wanted to give it to Debbie because I just love seeing her.
What did Debbie do this week?
She
was offering the turkey
Bethany,
trip, wasn't she?
And
go on, then go ahead. What about Jennifer Connor? She had a couple of scenes.
Yeah, she did, yeah.
But didn't do a whole lot in them.
No.
But again, she could just get it for turning up like Sabrina did.
Oh, God.
Or Ellie. Ellie's a good shout.
Ellie was good, actually.
I might want to change mine to Ellie.
I'll give it to Ellie then.
No, okay, I'll stick with Ryan. There we go.